Kit Kat.
Cool. Let me take that spray bottle away from you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my mum, when she was pregnant with me, she had cravings for Kit Kat and Marmite.
Oh, yeah. What, together?
I don't know. I never got around to asking her. Hopefully not, because that's just disgusting.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I don't like Marmite.
I do, but not with chocolate.
Welcome to the Metaforecast and
Speak Easy with Haroon. Conversations with artists, creatives and troublemakers. And we'll be finding out which one of those you are. Or if you're all of the above.
Maybe. I think I am.
So again, this is the finale. Sarah doesn't know, but I wanted to end my season 1 with Sarah Callaghan.
I have no idea which season of my show this will land on, but we'll know then.
And yeah, I mean, I hopefully feel like we can. I don't think we can fit everything that you've done in this podcast. And hopefully, like, you know, in a few years we can do a part 2 or a few months, depending on your schedule. But yeah, I just wanted to just have you on because your trajectory, not just in poetry, but just outside of it, you're a multifaceted artist. I just think that's inspirational for people that want to just kind of, you know, do their own thing, that don't fit in boxes necessarily. And you're a great example of that. So yeah, we've got the great Sarah Callaghan, comedy genius, poet extraordinaire. I'm running out of adjectives actually.
Drummer.
Drummer, yeah. Oh yeah, I heard you as a drummer.
Musician.
Well. Actor, voiceover, author.
Cool. I mean, how would you describe yourself actually, like in terms of what you do and or just you in general, like?
I would just say like a creative. Yeah, I try and just learn as many things as I can, and I just try and have fun with it. And then if I can make money through it, then sick, you know. Anything just to not get a proper job. That's all I'm trying to do.
I think all three of us are united by that.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate the typical 9 to 5. I just
it ain't for me, man.
So yeah. So what is Sarah Callaghan like before pandemic? What was you up to at that time? Like 2019, 2018, maybe even before that. Like
pretty much what I'm doing now. I was just gigging a lot. I was doing all the clubs.
This is in comedy?
Yeah, in comedy. Okay. So yeah, I was travelling all over the country, all over the world, just doing shows. And every year I would go to Edinburgh. So my sort of schedule would be like working towards the Edinburgh Fringe. So I'd work on my hour show leading up to that. And then festival season, June and July. So I'd do all the festivals. And then... yeah, and then I was mixing in poetry with that as well, and trying to go to some open mics. I was featuring at pretty much every poetry gig around London, and it was great. I was meeting new people, and yeah, I was just gigging a lot and trying to heal because I just come out of some mad relationship as well. So I was kind of doing that parallel.
I remember that we chatted about that.
Yeah, but that in a way fed into a lot of the art, which was some good inspiration, man. And it humbled me a lot, which I can laugh about it now.
But I heard the poems. So.
Yeah, at the time it was crazy, but I think it was really nice, especially within poetry, because I was able to connect with a lot of people, and you know, it helped me and it helped others to not feel so alone in it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I was doing, just hustling, I guess.
I mean, like, because obviously you primarily known for comedy, but then what came into your head to just, you know, I'm gonna go to a poetry event and try my thing in poetry in there, like?
Well, like I said, I was in this mad relationship.
Okay.
And then I went through a stage, which usually happens about every 2 years, where I go, fuck this, fuck comedy, I'm not doing it anymore. Okay. Like, I've got a very love-hate relationship with stand-up. And so I was like, nope, I'm quitting, don't want to do it. So
why, though? What is it?
Just the politics of the industry, and I just get overworked, overwhelmed, and I just feel like, fuck it, I don't want to do this, you know? Because I love performing, but I don't like everything around it.
So you love the art form? But the business,
I don't like the biz. Yeah, but unfortunately the biz is what it is. You know, I'm in it. Like, I went to an industry party the other day, and it's I find it's really weird, like, because I'll get up on stage and perform in front of hundreds of thousands of people, whatever. Not hundreds of thousands, I wish. Hundreds or maybe thousands.
Manifest.
Yeah.
Soon come.
And that's absolutely fine, no nerves, all good. But walking into an industry party, I get so anxious. Very, very anxious, very overwhelmed, and like my agent's there, and it's all like, oh, you need to meet this people, let me introduce you to this person. I just don't like it, and that side of it I don't. I don't want to be famous, you know what I mean? And I don't want to do these things, but there's certain things that you do have to do to get the jobs or to be seen and stuff. So that's what I don't really like about it. And the loneliness of it and empty hotel rooms, travelling around, like, it's good and bad. So sometimes if, you know, stuff's going on in my personal life, that's when I snap and I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to, you know. Especially because it's like, you got to go up on stage and be funny, and some days I don't feel very funny, so.
Are you kind of an introvert and you just kind of have extrovert tendencies? Or
I think so, yeah.
An
An introverted extrovert for sure, yeah.
Okay,
like a lot of people, like obviously I can party, I can be crazy, but I think majority of the time I am very like just quiet and chilled, and a few people that get to know me on a personal level, they're always like, oh, I'm surprised that you're like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it was around that time I cancelled like a week of gigs, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go and see what else is out there. So I started going to like meditation nights, sound healing nights, poetry events, and I used to write poetry but never like performed it or nothing. And I was watching a lot, and that's when I met Haroon.
At Word on the Street.
You say Word on the Street, but I thought I met you at Boxton.
I went to Word on the Street long before I went to Boxton.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. But you were definitely like one of the first people I met. Definitely, yeah.
Because we linked up a Word on the Street, which was Shady's event back when she was,
that was sick.
Back when she was with Kingpin, and they used to run the event together, and it was in the basement of the burger joint in Old Street.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Because that was the
early Boondocks.
It's now called the Boondocks. It was something else at the time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Because even then, what I found really fascinating is, having known you over the years, you were definitely, and maybe it was just because you're coming out of that relationship, but you were definitely a lot more shy and awkward then.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know,
but also you got to remember as well, like, so I'm known on the comedy scene. Yeah. Walk into any room, know everybody, and now suddenly I was in an environment where like none of you knew who I was, and I'm starting from the bottom again, and it was like weird. It was a nice feeling, but also like a weird feeling, and I could see like some people knew each other, and you'd tell them, be like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, I didn't know anyone, so I'd just sit there and be like, oh,
I know that feeling.
And then not even performing as well, and then it was only by chance I ended up getting up and doing something once, and then that was it. But fuck.
But you grew in confidence, and it's been really interesting. So I've seen this trajectory with a few people, like George Lawrence as well, is someone who I know sort of pre-pandemic, where again, I mean, we've talked about me and him, but like he was very kind of shy, self-deprecating, and like you wouldn't recognize him because like he's a sought after guy in terms of like people come to him for photography, videography, stuff like that. But I think that's the power of doing things that you love and you're good at, and just going on that trajectory of maybe 2-3 years, and you sort of grow in your confidence, and just body language wise you carry yourself differently.
But also it was like weird for me because obviously every poet is different, and I didn't really know too much, but there was a few poets I used to listen to, like George the Poet, Kate Tempest, and all that, you know, the regular big ones. Yeah. But obviously they're the top of their game. So I'm at like open mic nights where like some people reading from their phones, some people are really confident. It's all different types of people, and I'm like, there's a pattern, a flow with stand up, and I'm like, how would I even speak a poem? I don't know what. So I think that's where the nerves came from, because it wasn't the public speaking. It was there was no mask. I was finally on stage talking about something that was real. There was no mask to hide behind, which is very daunting, to show vulnerability in that. And then also I'm like, what if I sound like an idiot? I remember saying to Sean Mahoney at Boxton, I was like, what am I supposed to? He was like, just read it. Just read the poem. You'll find the flow.
Because you know Sean from Comedy Days.
Yeah, he was my first mate in comedy.
No, because I
nuts,
forgot,
man.
because
like
he's had
years
that
ago.
trajectory of like starting in different things and moving in. So you told me about that. But I want you to touch upon something which you talk about, the mask. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are like actors who also do spoken word. And what they've touched upon is they actually find somewhat acting to be a bit easier, for want of a better word. What they said is that in acting, there's a mask, there's a character or a persona, something they're portraying, whereas poetry comes with its certain challenges, because actually you're taking that off and you're being very vulnerable. And like, how did you find that contrast and like adjusting to it when you started doing poetry?
Terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. Yeah, I mean, you know, my entire life I've been able to hide behind it. Or not hide behind it, because my comedy is authentic, it's all real stories and stuff, but because it's a joke, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, but with this, there's no punchline, there's no, maybe apart from some clicking or something, like you don't know until you finish the piece if people have enjoyed it. Like with comedy, you always know if people are consistently laughing throughout my set, I'm obviously doing well, innit? And And also with poetry, it's, you still don't know if you're good or not, because a poet could be shit, but I think there's a lot of respect. People will still come up to you and be like, thank you so much for sharing, which is what I really love about the community. But obviously at the same time,
It's not like comedy where you're...
yeah, I'm like, I want to be good. I want people to genuinely tell me I'm good. I don't want people to be like, well done for being brave. Like, I can go and be brave in my own fucking time. You know what I mean? It's like, so there was, I mean, I guess that was slightly ego, but I just had no idea. It was just such a different thing for me. So I think, yeah, at first I was very nervous. But once I started learning the poems and doing them off my phone and actually performing them and looking people in the eye, that's when I really got more confident, because obviously that's what I'm used to. I'm used to connecting. I'm used to the performance side.
Those skills kind of translate over.
Yeah, and then obviously then when people listened to words and it really connected with them, and I'd have these really enriching chats afterwards, I thought, oh, right, cool. I'm doing something right, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a very strange transition at the beginning, for sure.
I think what you do is very giving, because obviously comedy is about making people laugh, and then poetry is maybe about inspiring or uplifting,
making them feel.
Yeah, which is kind of a very humanitarian thing to do, I think. Do you find that doing stand-up gives you an edge in poetry, or vice versa?
100%.
Okay.
Like, I remember when I first started doing it, people would come up to me being like, oh, how long have you been doing poetry? I'm like, oh, this is like the second time I've read a poem on stage. And they're like, oh my God, because of the stagecraft, the way I use the microphone, my eye contact, my confidence, the way I network, the way I talk to people and that. And that's just been from years and years and years of being on stage. I'm not scared of the stage. I was scared of the content. But once I got confident with the content, I think definitely that's when I went, because I think a lot of poets are better than me, but they don't have the stage presence.
Or the experience.
You know what I mean? And they're a bit all like, they don't know how to go into a piece, or they don't know what to say in between, and it's like a bit clunky. And I like to be super smooth and well rehearsed and off phone, you know, as soon as possible.
Same here.
So yeah. So I think,
and there's a lot of debate on that, which I won't get into.
So I think, I think that's what. But it wasn't like a competition. I was just trying to be the best that I could be. You know what I mean? But
I like that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Is there a process for you, like when you're preparing for a show or for a poetry thing? Like, do you, in terms of rehearsing your set, like what do you do to kind of prepare for a gig?
Yeah, I'll write my set list, or like have the piece that I'm doing, and I'll go through it. So I just rehearse it to the wall. Okay. Whether that's comedy or poetry, I'll just go through it word for word, and then stop thinking about it. And then when I get to the gig, just go over like the first thing I'm going to say when I get to the stage. Like even now, like I've been doing stand-up for so long, like I'm always just like, hi, how's it going? Hi, how's it going? Hi, how's everyone doing? Like I'll just like repeat that to myself like so many times. So I get to the mic, I'm like, how's everyone doing? You're right? Like, I've just been like repeating it so much. It's like literally all I'm saying is hello, because that first, you get judged the minute you get on stage, right? That's just a human reaction, right? So those first few seconds are so important of the confidence, the way you walk to the stage, the way you pick up the mic. So I'm just like, if I mumble a word, and I've done it before, and this is why when I was very nervous, or when I was very new, or if you have like a bubble in your throat and you think fuck, and then it just throws you off the whole set, you know. And sometimes you can bring it back, but I'm like, if you just start confident, I'm relaxed, they'll be relaxed, they'll give me love, I'll get better, and we can just so that's what I do even now, like. In
terms of like, you know, when you like do, I'm sure you like when you go to different cities, you can do certain poems again. Do you find that if you do a poem, there's like a certain line that hits different than in one place, because you've performed it differently than you might have performed it last week or the week before? Like when you do pieces or comedy sets, like if you something that you didn't think was as funny but is banging because you've just performed it differently, like do you kind of workshop in the main gig, or do you kind of wait for smaller gigs to kind of like find like what's funny and what's not?
What, in terms of like new material, you mean?
Yeah, material,
yeah. So you'll have like new material nights where you'll go down, and that's specifically for like you to go on stage with your notes and you go through new jokes and stuff. But in the main clubs, I mean, if you know it, you can chuck a line in, but it's like advised to not really do that. Like you've got to do your gold, you know what I mean? People are paying £20-30 a ticket. It's not really a place to like try new material. But obviously, if you end up having an interaction with somebody and it's funny, it's like, all right, sweet, I'll remember that for next time, and then you can write it down or whatever. But there's like new material nights
Like work in
specifically for
progress
that.
nights.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I usually go through my new stuff.
Do comedians kind of share jokes with you? Like if I wanted to work something out and I'm a comedian, is it the habit to kind of just go to another comedian and just say, hey, listen to this joke, is this funny? Or like,
yeah, but it's very annoying. Comedians, like when if you're in a green room and a comic is like, hey, like, what do you think about this line? You're like, oh, fucking hell, mate, because it's like, yeah, it's cringe.
But why? Because with other forms of writing, whether it's people
know,
doing
it's
novels
different.
or poets, a lot of the times there is a community of like supporting or critiquing or encouraging each other's work. So why is it a little
because
bit...
it's different. You can't speak a joke, like you got to see it on stage. So what's better is you might do a set and come off stage and either a comedian will say, hey man, I really love that joke, do you know what, you should add this to the end, and then that's a good way of like workshopping it. Or if a comic comes off and he's like, man, I don't know why that joke didn't work, and then that can start a discussion. But to say, hey, do you think this is funny, it's like, I'm sure if I spoke my jokes to you, you probably wouldn't crack even a smile. But if you watch the set, you'd be like, oh, that was so funny, man. Like, it's just different. Whereas obviously with poetry, I could just give you my phone and be like, oh, what do you think about this? And then you could read the poem and be like, oh, yeah, it's good. Or it's just a different method, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it's annoying when someone's like, oh, what do you think about this joke? Or the worst is when, this is a big thing in comedy, where someone will tell you a funny story. So I'll start saying, hey man, like, oh, it's crazy. When I got the train here today, this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. And you're listening, you're like, oh yeah. And then they go on stage and they do that word for word. And you think, oh, you were just trying a bit on me. But they don't say I'm doing a bit. So that's very, very, very annoying. And like all the comedians backstage will be like, this prick, man. He just did his bit on me because they want to see if you genuinely laugh. But I hate that. I'm like, nah, man. Separate it. Don't trick me like that. Don't use me like that. But yeah, that's just the politics of comedy.
What I'm curious about is what's the writing process for comedy, and then how does that differ, say, to your writing process when you're doing poetry, whether it's for the page or when you're doing headlines at poetry gigs, or as you've sort of segued into doing poetry over music, like that area of writing, which is basically poetry and songwriting. How does that process differ to, say, writing a 1 hour show?
Comedy's definitely like a longer process because you have to consistently go back and like edit and like do a joke again and again and add words, and like it just takes a longer time. Whereas for me personally, I find poetry a lot easier. Like I can just sit and like write a poem and it just flow out, and like I very rarely go back and edit a piece. Like if I've written a piece, the piece is done. Yeah, so I think it's just like a longer process really. But in terms of like writing it and learning it and like making sure it's suitable for the event and that, I think they're similar. Yeah, it's hard. It's like trying to be funny. I feel like I find it a lot easier to be sincere than to be funny.
Oh, that's crazy. I always used to be the other way around.
I know, yeah. And a lot of people say, why don't you write funny poetry? I'm like, nah. Like this is my time for my and for my soul to come out and to really like connect in that way. Like because poetry is definitely like, it's for me where it's like, if it helps people, cool, but it's I need it. It's like a form of therapy to get it out and stuff, whereas comedy is all about the audience. You are doing it for them to give them a good time, to make them laugh. So yeah, I would say they're the main differences.
I was also going to ask, like, because obviously being a poet and being a comedian is so different in terms of like comedians say risky things that, you know, if a poet was to say, that would be like, oh, that's fucked.
I mean, poets can get cancelled.
Yeah.
Can they?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's things you can and can't
I
say.
think comedians can get away with it because it's like, it's kind of understood that that's their thing. But like, poets can speak their truth and then it can resonate really, really well or just wrong. Like, so yeah, do you ever have those issues, like walking that tightrope?
Well, I'm not in either art forms. I'm not really like a, what's the word? Like a risky artist. I don't really say controversial things. I don't really talk about politics or gender identity or like war, any of that shit. I you know, I keep, it's all about feelings and emotions, and it's very like personal to me, so can't really go wrong when it's like my story and my truth, you know what I mean? I try not to, I'm not offensive at all. Probably it's like I swear a bit, but
You use the C word a lot.
Yeah, but that's about it. So in terms of being cancelled, like, nah, you know. And I think if you show enough vulnerability and sincerity, you can get away with a lot, you know, if you kind of push the boundaries a little bit. Like for me, it's like if I'll do a gig where there's like quite a lot of older people there, back in the day, but I can't swear. And I'm like, nah, because once they like me, I'll be able to say anything. So if at the beginning you're as charismatic as you can possibly be and likable, and then it's like, cool, you know.
But I was going to say that earlier when you were talking about how you place a lot of value on just getting things right at the beginning. Like, do you not definitely feel that, like, if you can get people on side at the beginning, it gives you a lot more latitude and leeway later on in a gig?
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's fumbling, making a mistake, or just being a bit more risque with the language.
100%, yeah. But they always say in comedy, start strong and end strong. So that gives you some time in the middle to, like, fuck around. Like, I did a gig, it was a Sofa Sounds gig, actually, and...
It's just when you did numbers? A different one.
Yeah, different one.
Okay.
It was a different one. Where did I come back from? I just got back from Australia, and can I say anything on this podcast?
Yeah, you can
You can
swear.
say anything.
Okay, so
Yeah.
basically, the drugs in Australia are terrible. So I don't do drugs when I'm over there. I might smoke a bit of weed or whatever. So when I came back, I went to this festival. I went to Cross the Tracks, and I ended up doing like quite a lot of coke. And
Was this the Cross the Tracks this year?
yeah.
Oh, I was there.
Oh, sick. And anyway, I don't really do it that often anymore, maybe like once or twice a year. But I was just like, you know, I haven't seen my friends, and why not? Let's have a good time. But whenever I do a night like that, where it's like, obviously you're doing cocaine and like you haven't had much sleep or whatever, the next day your brain is a bit fried when there's so many words to remember and flow and music and blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, I could probably get through a comedy gig, but a poetry gig, nah. So anyway, I was doing this gig, and I did the first one, great, all good. They're really engaged, really enjoying it. And then I go on to like the second poem, all great. Third one, I start it, and it's a poem I've done a million times, but my brain just went, oh.
You frazzled.
Yeah. And I did the first line, and I stopped, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I knew I'd been here before. I did this a year prior, and I was like, right, I'm not going to try and remember this and fuck up each line. And I said, sorry. I said, guys, we're starting again. I said, I'll be real with you. I did a load of cocaine yesterday, and my brain is fucked. And the whole audience just burst out laughing. It was such this rich belly laugh, because it was like, wow.
It's real.
Yeah, it's just real. I was just being real, and like, you know, it's relatable, man. Like, you don't have to be, I can't smoke, I can't talk about drugs. Everyone does drugs, man, or has done drugs. It's like no one is that much of a prude, and I think we need to be really PC all the time in that respect. But same as old people, like, you can't be rude around. They've fucked. They've had sex. They've, you know, they've partied. They've gone through stuff like that. Just because they're older or they're from a different background or whatever, it's like,
I'm sure the drugs were cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Pills were way better. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, and I was a bit nervous to say it, but I was like, they always say honesty is the best policy in any of these things. Like, even if you're on stage and you forget a joke, you're like, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, on to the next, and just acknowledge it and then just move on. So anyway, I did that. I got my phone and I did the poem again. I read a little bit of it, and then when I remembered it, I put the phone away and continued. And at the end, it was like, the response was wicked, because the amount of people coming up to me, because I was embarrassed, because I hate that. I hate not being professional. But I thought, well, this is the best way to do it. And so many people come up to me and were just like, oh, that was so funny, and I went out this time, and blah blah, and like I sold all my books, and it was great. So it was I forgot the first question. What did you ask me?
I can't remember the question.
I can't,
was.
but I mean, that answer was amazing. We suffer from short-term memory.
Oh, mate, yeah, it was just like, it was so weird. But I do usually like to be like very slick.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't always be in it. So, and in those moments, just be honest.
Yeah. I really like your professionalism. I think you set out to do like really good shows. Do you feel like you make a very good first impression to audiences when you hit like a new city or a new venue?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Is there like kind of, I mean, I know you rehearse really well, but is there something you do to kind of like, okay, this is something I learned that I shouldn't do this the first time, or like in terms of like a joke, or just greeting people and talking about certain things or whatever? Making
there's like an etiquette, I guess. Yeah. Which, sorry, you said about the reason why I was telling you that story is about. Okay. So if I'd done that at the beginning, it would have been a different story. But because I started off good, I did it in the middle. It gave me the leeway, and then I ended strong. That's why. Anyway.
Now I remember.
Boom.
I remember the problem now. Thank you.
So that's why. That's why. Yeah. Yes, etiquette. Oh dear! And I believe
this was never going to be a linear interview. We had this discussion on the way here. We were driving
mate,
from
my
Maida
mind's
Vale.
like and it's nice because it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel forced. I feel like interacting with people is a superpower of mine in terms of like, because I've been in the entertainment industry since I was 18 and always hung around with older people and travelled the world, had to be very independent, flying all over the gaff. Like it's just something I find very easy, very natural, chatting to all different types of people, all different ages. Like it's never awkward. And the main thing is eye contact, questions, handshakes, and just making sure like you're present. And yeah, man, I feel like I've got networking down to a T, really.
Because you've like you said, you've been in it from 18. Was that when also like, because I had my notes, I'm not going, but like you was head of production at something, was it Factory Films? Was that okay? Different Sarah Callaghan. Wow, that's awkward. I'm gonna edit that out.
you need to see. This is why you should have run this past the fact checker.
I see, like, because he's known you longer, right? I don't fuck it. I'll keep it in.
No, I've never done that.
I don't know why. I literally googled your name, right, and I was just like, okay, what has Sarah Callaghan done? Because what I wanted to do in this podcast was like not go through like a timeline of what you've done. I kind of wanted to just get to the person and just like, you know, find out about weird things about you, because I think you're someone that people like anyone can just like Google you and just like find out about your jokes and what you've done poetry wise, but just, you know, things like growing up in Uxbridge, which is something that I don't think I know anyone that's done anything from Uxbridge, but
no,
like,
I'm putting UB10 on the map.
Is that, that's the postcode, UB.
No, because I've only become familiar with that place because my sister moved there.
Yeah.
And now my parents moved there in Ickenham, because I remember driving around the neighbourhood where my sister lives. I'm just like, that looks like Sarah Callaghan. But I didn't shout you. And then I think later we messaged each other and I was like, hey, were you kicking about in that area? That I was just like, and you obviously were just like, this is really creepy. And I was like, no, I was just visiting my sister.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a shithole. I mean, it's a nice suburb, but it's like there's nothing there. There's no creativity.
There's a lot of income disparity as well.
Yeah, it's like it's just dead, man.
Sounds like Morden, where I live.
Really, but at least it's closer to like you could just get on a train and be in King's Cross, you know what I mean? Or, you know, you've got the Northern Line there, but
you're not too far from Wembley either, though.
Yeah, I'm not too far from Wembley. Yeah, I'd say about 20.
But there's I think there's something about neighbourhoods that are that far out in London where just the energy's just not there.
Yeah, it's shit.
Like Uxbridge, I looked at. I wasn't surprised that my sister and my mum and dad moved there. Sister moved there a few years ago, and then during the pandemic, my parents moved there because I was like, this is technically London, but this is basically, it might as well be the suburb that we grew up in. Because I grew up in a suburb in Hampshire, which called Fareham, which has basically been a Tory seat since the 1800s. Ever since it was a fucking like parliamentary seat. And, like, the current MP is Suella Braverman. That tells you everything about growing up there. And Uxbridge, I mean, you've had like Boris Johnson, not to get political, but just saying. Yeah. How does growing up in an environment like that, how has that influenced or motivated you in terms of like your art and your journey, and then how that sort of pushed you to go travel internationally for your work and stuff like?
It's definitely made me think I want to get out of here. I think it's given me the motivation to get away. Because I look around at people and it's like they're so happy just to like, and I've never ever been like this ever since I was young, you know what I mean, in school. It's like people go to school, go to university, do a gap year, come home, get a partner, have a kid, get a house, and they never leave, they never go, they sometimes not even do a gap year, they won't do any travelling. They will stay in, they will date in their town, they will buy a house in their town, they will stay and die in their town. It's like their kids will go to the schools that we went to. I'm like, nah, that's not for me. This is boring. And I've always been about the art. Like even before I started doing stand-up, I was doing plays, I was doing musicals, I was doing amateur stuff. I went to Chicago, I was doing improv there, and like I've always been creative. I've always done painting and drawing, and like, man, it's just I always knew that I wanted to get out, and I think that was a big push for me when I moved to Madrid when I was 18. But because I was like, yeah, something needs to happen here. And obviously, thank God I fell into comedy, because that's given me a lot of opportunities, and now going on to Australia and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's not really influenced the art, but it's definitely been a motivation to be like, right, something needs to change.
You just don't want to be stagnant. You just want to keep moving. You're like a shark. You just got to keep.
I got to move,
create, and move into new territory.
That's why I find London so stimulating. When I started coming into Central and coming to gigs and events, I was like, wow, this is sick. And my friends used to say to me, like, oh my God, you're going to London. I'm like, it's like an hour on the train. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but technically Uxbridge is in London.
It is, yeah, it's Zone 6, and I will fight anyone that tells me it ain't, you know what I mean? My friend, my friend's like, you live in the countryside. I'm like, no, I fucking don't, mate. That's like Amersham and that. He's like, if I come to your gaff, I'm going to have to renew my passport. I'm like, bro, don't take the piss. It's like 20 minutes on a train, you're in Wembley.
Well, I used to argue the same thing, because when I was married, I used to live in Kingston.
Yeah.
Which I still argue is London. Cause
it's definitely London.
Yeah, it's in a certain zone.
It's a ball ache to get to. But
no, it's a complete ball ache to get to an hour.
As someone that lives in Zone 2, like, yeah, it's and I used to go to Kingston for uni.
All right, show off.
Like, it's like I used to spend 3 hours on a bus to get there.
Oh my God.
Because I was trying to keep funds.
But,
yeah.
But I can completely relate to you in terms of what you're saying with Uxbridge, because growing up in Fareham, by the time I reached like my late teens and I was doing college, basically from my late teens to my mid-20s, everything was about trying to get out of there and get to London. Like, to me, London was the answer, even to the point where my third and final attempt, which actually worked, because I had a bunch of attempts that just failed, it was doing something that was far more out of the arts, just because that was a dead cert way to get myself out.
Yeah, it's got to be
in
done,
London,
though.
because the thing is I don't really go back to that old town now, because my parents have moved to Ickenham, which might as well be the same fucking thing. But going back, and you're just like, you see people that you grew up with, but they're a bit more overweight. They're pushing a pram.
They've just not, in my eyes, achieved much. And I'm like, man, the world's a big place. Like, even London, but the world. But like, some people, they're like, oh, they only go to London like once a year. I'm like, there's so many like amazing restaurants, things to do, like events, like cool events and shows. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you not want to expand your mind and meet people and do these things? Like you're going to the same pub every Saturday. Like, you're not doing anything. Like, it's just fucked. For me, it's a sickness, and I don't get it.
But it doesn't work. Like, I remember my parents were encouraging me to do a gap year and then come settle down. And I didn't do that. But then for whatever reason, I ended up doing 2 things I never thought I'd do. I ended up getting an arranged marriage.
Wow.
And I ended up in my family business. And like, neither one lasted because I'm not built for that.
It's not your destiny, innit? So it was never meant to work out, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but I admire people like yourselves who
don't play it safe, basically.
Who from day one had that understanding of self. And like, for me, like, I always say that whether you believe in God or the universe, whatever, like, there's 2 different types of people on the planet. There's people who know what they're going to go and do, and they get on with it. And there's people who are built for something, but they haven't quite figured it out. And so the universe keeps basically putting up brick walls and shutting doors in their face until they've been redirected to where they're meant to. And that's been me.
Yeah, that's what happened to me, definitely. Like, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. So I was like, I guess I'll go to college. I went to college to do television and film production. After a year, I dropped out, because I was like, this is shit. This is not what I want to do at all. I want to be in front of the camera. This is rubbish. And then I moved to Madrid, because I was like, oh, I just want to go out. I want to live in another country to teach English, random. That failed. I came home, couldn't get a job, fell into stand-up, started doing stand-up, like that. And then that led me on some weird path. And then, again, mad things happened, which led me to poetry. Like, it's none of it. And some people are like, yeah, all right then. None of it, anything that's happened in my life, none of it's been a conscious choice. None of it's been a choice. I've fallen into everything. I fell into comedy. My friend basically forced me to get up stage. I didn't want to be a poet. Didn't write poetry to perform. I didn't set out that night to perform. It was like, it's so weird. Even the people I meet in my life, it's all by like chance. And I'm leaning into it, though.
But
it's
nothing's
great.
really by chance. I think everything that happens is meant to happen.
Yeah, but you could say, look, I want to be a doctor, so you choose to go to medical school. You know what I mean? So that's like a choice.
Yeah, like my sister.
Yeah, or things like that. Or like, oh, I really want to buy a dog. You go out and you buy a dog. So they're like conscious choices you've made. Like, I didn't want to be a comedian. And that's the reason I think why I have a lot of love-hate relationship for the things in my life, because when I'm depressed or feeling low, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I never fucking chose to do this. And now I'm stuck in this life. And when I go through my outburst, and I think that's where it comes from. But then when I have these rants with other comics, once I've finished talking, they go, cool, but what's the alternative? Well, you want to go work in Tesco? Go on then, do it. And I'm like, well, no, actually, I mean, it is quite a cool life, and no, there are aspects I enjoy. And they're like, yeah, so shut your mouth, and get up and fucking get out there. But
it's difficult. So I just came back from a 3-week stint in New York where I was hanging out I was actually staying with a friend who's a novelist.
Oh, wow,
who's
nice.
now got their first novel out, and they're working on their second and third novels. And she was saying the same thing, where when you're following an artistic pursuit, it can be quite lonely, and it's not got the predictability of being a doctor or anything else. And you have those real low moments, especially when if you grapple with mental health. So myself and this author, we both got ADHD, which correlates with certain types of mental health challenges. We were saying the same thing like what you were, which is you reach that point of going, oh, this is shit, I hate this, da-da-da. But then you sit there and you go, but the alternative is just so much worse.
100%.
Me and this friend have both been fired from most of our 9 to 5s because we're just not wired to do that. And especially when you go through that path, you can sometimes almost buy into the message that, oh, I'm just low functioning, as opposed to, actually, no, I'm just in the wrong space. And so do you not find that, apart from like what's the alternative, because you talk about choices, do you not feel that when you really have realised that you're wired to be an artist and a creative, that there almost is no choice? Like, you've read the Stephen Pressfield books, The War of Art.
No, I haven't. But yeah, I like where you're going with this, though.
Basically, do you not feel like, okay, I feel like I'm at a point where even when I'm at my lows and I'm like, well, fuck this. Like, this is supposed to be my life, struggling and wondering if I'm going fucking crazy on my own doing certain stuff. Like I said to Matt, I'll be honest, in terms of mental health, I had a very transformative trip in New York, and we spoke about this offline. I've come back, I'm in a horrific depressive episode where I'm trying to get motivated and do stuff. And I'm sort of questioning myself again, and yet there is no choice.
No.
Because at the end of the day, for me to sit down and go, I'm going to write. Like, writing as a creative art form is probably one of the most fucking inefficient ways to earn a living and stay afloat in a materialistic world. And yet I can't motivate myself to do other things. Yet I find myself literally half asleep just scribbling things that people look at and go, how the fuck have you not been published? So like, how do you deal with that thing when you keep realizing more than once in your journey that like there is no choice because this is the thing I'm compelled to do, I'm built to do it?
I deal with it. I read a lot of various books on mental health and psychology and all this sort of stuff and attachment theory and blah blah, and a lot of it always comes down to like acceptance. So and especially coming into my 30s, it's like okay, this is the life that you've chosen. This is the life you will have for the rest of your life, right? Because there is no alternative. There's no point being stuck on a loop going round and round and round. Yes, sometimes there are bad days, there are good days, there are challenges, there's rejection, all of that. Cool, ride the wave, right? But this is what you're doing. So when you actually accept this is your path and this is what you're doing, things become easier. So then you have to write down, okay, what are the annoying things? What are the things that I have control over that I can change? And what are the things that I have no control over, right? I have no control over if I get a job or not, or if, this person wants to cast me in this or blah, blah, blah. That's just a fact of life, right? That's just the arts for you. I do have control over how hard I work and the type of work I take on. So what's really worked for me, and especially I had a big meeting with my agency, my agent and my touring manager and all that sort of stuff the other day. And I said to them, and they've been very supportive about it, is I will not be put under pressure anymore. I will not be given deadlines. Work will be done when it's done. A show will be made when it's made. I'm not working because doing the yearly Edinburgh thing, writing an hour in a year, I can't do it anymore. I wrote 6 hours and I'm at, now it's like Kendrick Lamar takes 5-6 years to write an album. And when it comes out, everyone's like, oh my God, it's taken ages. It's sick because he's taken his time. He's been meticulous with every word, every beat. And some things take time and you can't rush art. Now, my industry, it's always like, you have to do this, you have to go for this. I don't have to do anything, yeah? And it was turning 30 where I got a bit of confidence to be able to turn around to these people and say, I'm the artist, you work for me, yeah? And the work will be done when it's done. But when I present it to you, it's going to be excellent, because I'm not putting out anything that's mediocre, because that sends me into a depressive state. That then makes me feel worthless. I'm not good enough, When I step out on the street or on a stage and I know in my heart I am excellent, and you can not like me, that's not about being the best, because everything's subjective, but I know I'm great. Even when I'm shit, I'm better than you. And when I can really say that to myself and believe it, I'm not just saying it, I actually genuinely believe it to my soul, it's great, because I'm more relaxed, I'm producing better work, I'm a nicer person off stage, it's cool. And and doing that Soho show was definitely something for me which I realised, especially about comedy. It's like, no, I don't hate comedy, I don't want to give up comedy, I want to do comedy on my terms. And that means incorporating the poetry, bringing my band along, because that's the happiest I've ever felt on stage. And there really are no rules. So like you get to, I've been in the industry since I was 18 years old, and obviously what's a bit toxic about being so young is you're naive, you're very susceptible. A lot of times in my career, which I won't go into now because we'll be here forever, where mad shit's gone on in the last 13, 14 years, where you do get manipulated, and there's too many cooks, you've got so many people in your ear telling you do this, do that, you end up making mistakes. And going to Australia was definitely a big moment in my life, because I was able just to sit on a beach and be like, what do I want, not only as Sarah Callaghan but as an artist. And really, when you realise that you make the rules and you make the decisions, it's like, oh my god, So I said to my agent, because she was putting pressure on me to do Edinburgh this year, and I said, I'm not ready. I don't want to do it yet. I said next year I'm going to do it, and I'm going to bring my band. I don't want no pressure, don't want no deadlines, don't be emailing me when I'm away, And the way they responded, because I wasn't asking them, I was telling them, but in still a very professional manner, they were like, yeah, cool, we agree. And they've just been so supportive, like just so amazing with just agreeing with everything. And like it's been amazing. And I think for me, the older I get and the more confident I get off stage, I think that's really seeping into my art. So that's how I deal with it, man. It's the acceptance. So yeah, there are still days where I do want to quit comedy. There are still days where I'm like, oh, this is fucking annoying. But I take so much joy waking up in the morning going, wow, this is my life, and I live my entire life on my terms, and I'm so free, in every sense of the word. And to be so free within your art is like the best feeling ever. Don't let anyone tell you what to do, and don't let anyone tell you have to do it this way or you need it by this date. Fuck off, man. It will come when it comes, but when it does come, it's going to be excellent.
No, I like that, doing things by your own terms, because it makes you, because when you're doing things in like the parameters of someone else's like schedule, you kind of get erratic for no reason. You get anxiety, stress,
yeah.
And then because I do things on my own terms, I don't do things that I don't want to do. Like I've had money thrown at me. I'm like, no, the energy's not right.
Exactly. And yeah.
I think that's more important. And obviously, the art comes from a more sincere place and becomes more genuine. So I love that you said that, because I think people need to hear it.
100%. Yeah, because we do get tricked into thinking, oh, I have to do this. Like, I remember back in the day, like when I was young and that, it's like, oh, you have to do this because you have to be nominated for this award, or we need to get this. I'm like, but why though? Like, I don't care about those things. Like, especially in the industry, when I'm just like, I don't want to be famous. They're like, but why? And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I want to make money through my art, and I want to connect to people and leave some really good art behind when I die. If fame is a byproduct of that, great. Yeah. But that's not what I'm searching for. So why am I going to do this, and this? I just want to create the art. And it's always that saying that always resonates with me is don't chase, attract. If it's meant to come, it will come.
I said this in a previous podcast. Like, I'm really about just creating my own corner of something. Like, I'm the type to go to a party and I might not know anyone, and I don't care to know anyone. I'll just like find someone else that is just as feels on the outside as me. We'll like have our own wave, create our own wave, and then people will be like, oh, what's going on over there?
Yeah, exactly.
They seem to have a lot more fun over there, and they'll just come over. And I'm about just even going into poetry. Like, I didn't know anyone. I was just that weirdo in the corner, just like filming, and I just kind of just created something in my own corner of poetry, and then people came over.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But do you know, it's very powerful to be quiet and in the shadows. It does make people. I definitely noticed you, because there are quite a few characters in poetry, in the poetry scene, that are very loud, very in your face. They want to make themselves known. And all they're like, you know, they're big characters on the scene. But then I always notice the people. Like, I noticed you definitely because you were just there with your camera and stuff. And I was like, who's this guy? I want to know this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that means a lot because I remember you sent me a DM on Instagram, and you didn't have to. You didn't have to write that, and you wrote it, and that meant the world.
Oh, wicked, man.
That you noticed it. But like, yeah, and especially when it means a lot when you know that someone that's saying that to you is doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Just doing their shit, just getting on with it, not trying to do it because of, you know, ego or whatever. You're just doing it because you want to do it, and you do it, and essentially you were doing it on your own terms back then as well. And yeah, for you to just say that, I was like, yeah, cool. I need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%.
So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries, man.
Yeah. I'll be up here.
But I want to touch on something because you've said it a couple of times now around fame and earning a living. Like, and Mess will know this because I think I've brought this up a few times with you, where there's this. I don't know who put this forward, but they said that, you know, in order to sort of figure out how you want to go about your path, you have to figure out, it's important for artists and creatives to answer like this question because it helps you map out what you want. And what it basically says is that you can have 3 things to choose from: fame, money, and the respect of your creative peers. But you can only choose 2. And so, you know, what you said sort of resonated because I think me and Meta, we always talk about the fact that we don't want to be famous, but we do want to earn a healthy living from what we do creatively. And obviously it's nice to have the respect of your creative peers. And that's a guiding principle.
Sometimes I don't even want the respect. I just want to fucking do the thing.
Yeah. But I think respect brings money because if they respect you and they like what you're doing, they will say your name in rooms when you're not there. They'll give you some. I've had so much work on recommendations.
No, because
so that's always handy.
I think it is handy because right now fuck it, I'm just going to get the name out. So I've been pushing my book that's coming out, Press Play, and some people have not wanted to do blurbs for it. And some people have been willing to do it, and some people have not promised, but they've been very shocked in a pleasant way by the content of the book. And so in one instance, like Jeffrey Boyache, an author, sort of was like, fuck. And he's like, how can I help? And one of the things I know I want to ask him to do is like, look, when you're in a room that I'm not in, if you think it's appropriate to mention my name, it'll help. Can you please mention my name? I actually think that is really powerful. So I think I respect you wanting to do the thing and not always wanting the respect, but I do think there is something about people thinking about you in places that you're not in because you can't be in every place in every room to sell yourself. And if you can create work and you somehow make an impression where even when you're not somewhere, someone thinks, Sarah, Meta, Haroon, they're perfect for this. That's the thing that can unlock more creative opportunities and more money, because ultimately I want money to be a byproduct of me doing things that I like doing. I've spent too much of my fucking life doing things I don't like.
Well, that's just a fact of life, isn't it? You need money to survive. So, and if you can make that from your art, then great. So
yeah, Sarah, like you've literally just said like your work ethic is about just being undeniable, and this is a word that me and Haroon like to. I've liked to use it quite a bit in terms of if you are undeniable, your reputation kind of like precedes you.
100%.
And then obviously, like you were saying about people speaking your name in rooms when you're not even there, and then being that thing where like, you know, everything about you gravitates opportunities. And like, how's your experience with that kind of?
It's been really good. I can't lie. I've been very, very lucky. I've had some TV work, gigs, loads of different cool opportunities where I'm like, I want to be like the first name that pops into your head. And that's happened a lot. Like I always get emails and messages saying, oh, this person recommended you. I'd love to get you on this show or do this. So yeah, it's been great. I feel very lucky, and like I'm super grateful for anyone that's ever put my name forward for something, you know. I've had a very positive experience with it.
Yeah, I loved seeing you at Life from Rhymes, and you had like a little film crew following you around. I was like, bro, like it's been, and obviously I haven't seen you in a while, and I was like, bro, like Sarah's in the next level, and like how did that come about in terms of like them asking you to do Life from Rhymes? Like,
right, so this is a crazy story, yeah. So my ex-agent, I'm with a different agent now. She was fucking terrible, right? Didn't really get me or what I wanted to do. She was trying her best, you know, because she was a comedy agent, but she knew I was doing like poetry and stuff. Anyway, I mentioned to her, oh, there's this TV show. This is so annoying, man.
Yeah, it's okay. You can like, I think you can swing it around. I'm not sure.
There was
oh, maybe not. Yeah, right.
there. I knew that I'd seen Life and Rhymes before, and then obviously it won a BAFTA and all that sort of stuff. And yeah. When the first series came out, straight away I was like, why am I not on that show? I should be on it. Why was my name not even mentioned? That's weird, you know what I mean? Because I thought if there's going to be a poetry show, I should be on it. I mean, that's how confident or arrogant, whatever way you want to look at it. So when I saw it was coming for a second series, I was like, right, well, I have to be on the show. So I mentioned it to my agent. I was like, look, if you know any of the producers or anything, like, chuck in a word. So a couple of weeks later, she gets back to me and she's like, yeah, sorry, Sarah, it's just not going to be possible this time. And I'm like, okay, why? And she's like, oh, they just don't think you're suitable. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not suitable? Like, I'm sick. What do you mean?
I love the confidence.
I just was like, I don't get. I said,
I would have loved to be in that room.
I was like, what did you say to her? And she was like, oh, I sent her some of your videos and some of the written poetry and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, right, cool. Well, I've seen the poets they've got on there, and I'm better than majority of them. So maybe you should go back and fight for me a little bit more. She was such a wet fish, and you need an agent like my agent now. She's hardcore. She's bang, like she's like the best of the best. Like,
sounds like my divorce lawyer.
Oh, mate, that's what you need, especially because I couldn't necessarily sit in a room and talk like this because you might sound a bit arrogant or whatever. Yeah. So to have someone speaking like that on your behalf is fantastic, right? Big up UTC. Anyway, so I was pissed off and I wasn't in a good place anyway. And that night I had 3 gigs. I had a comedy gig, then a poetry gig, and then I had to head over to the Bush Theatre to headline Penting, because they were doing the Bush Theatre, right? And I wasn't in a good mood, and I was pissed off my agent. It was another thing where I'd had a few different rejections that week, and I'm like, this is fucking bullshit, man. And anyway, so I head to the gig. I did all my gigs, all went all right. I head to the Bush Theatre. I smashed my set. It was like a really great crowd, really lovely atmosphere. And outside, I'm like smoking a joint with these 2 rappers that I know. King's Castle, you know King's Castle? Yeah, great lads.
Shout out to King's Castle, great guys.
Yeah, they are. And so, yeah, we were catching up because I hadn't seen them for a while. And anyway, this like old lady comes up to me and she's like, Sarah, I've got to say, you are fantastic. Oh, wow. Me and my partner were there and we just thought you were the best tonight. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks. She's like, my name, she said her name, I forgot now. She was like, I'm a producer on a TV show called Life and Rhymes. And I said, oh, is it? I said, all right, and you thought I was the best tonight? She goes, yeah, you're fantastic. I said, oh, cool, because your mob just said I wasn't right for your show. So how can you tell me I'm not right for your show when tonight you've just seen what I did on stage and you're telling me I was the best, but I'm not ready for your show? How does that make sense? I just went in on her, and she went, who's your agent? I said, well, my agent's blah, blah. And I said, well, she goes, that can't be right. I said, well, it is right. I said, I've got the emails in it, and they said I'm not good enough. So what? What's the truth? You just see what I've done there. You see what I've done. So what's going on? She goes, right, here's my number. Tomorrow, tell your agent to give me a call, resend a video, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. I said, whatever, man. I was like, whatever. Because I'd had it. I get like this sometimes. I've been in meetings with the BBC and television companies where they flirt with you and they say, oh, we'd love a working class voice, or you're so different, blah, blah. I've been in the industry for a very long time. Give me the fucking job or don't. I don't want to be here for you to blow smoke up my ass or to tell me I've got potential or to flirt with me. It's like, give me the job or not. Are you giving me the job or not? Because you're wasting my fucking time, and time is precious, innit? I've travelled an hour to be in this room when we could have done it over a Zoom call. I don't take no shit no more. And that's another thing that's come with age and confidence. I know the product I'm putting forward, and it's nice. If you're not giving me the job, thank you for today. I'm out, mate, because I've got shit to do.
And it's not like if they have YouTube, your stuff is out there.
You can Google me, man. Do you want me or not?
You don't need to prove it.
No. And I'm not out here doing that shit. Anyway, so I was.
I just love the energy. Bro.
Oh mate, it was funny because I was a bit stoned as well. Anyway, and then after she walked away, and I was like, shit, maybe I was a bit too harsh because I always think, oh no, maybe I was a bit rude there. I don't know, because I never want to be like rude. I just want to be assertive. You know what I mean? And I know that I'm good, and obviously I've got room to improve, and you always improve and get better. I'm not the best, but I know what I have to offer, innit? Yeah. And anyway, so the next day I had to fly to Edinburgh. I was doing some gigs in Edinburgh. And I brought my mum with me. And anyway, we're having dinner and stuff, and I get an email, and they're like, oh yeah, you're on the show. We're filming on like the 8th of September or something, which was a few days before my birthday. And I was with my mum, and it was a great moment because I was like, I got the gig, I'm on the show, and you know, I was able to celebrate with her instantly. Yeah. And the filming was around my birthday. I was like, this is gonna be a sick birthday, and that's when I thought I'm going to drop my agent in it, because I was like, I secured that gig and you didn't, and you never fought for me. And if it was all up to you, then I never would have got that show, you know. But yeah, it was all just mad. And then on the day of filming, because they said we want to film a documentary about you as well, so that's why the camera crew were following me around, and they filmed it in my house, locked off the whole street. It was fucking sick, man. Everyone's coming out of their houses like looking, see what's going on. But yeah, that was the cool thing that Sky Arts approached me for.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing, man. And then so on the day of filming, I'm there, and the same lady comes up to me and she's like, oh, it's so great to have you. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, man. I appreciate it. And she said, oh, and by the way, I like to smoke a little bit of weed too.
was she like a posh little old lady?
Yeah, man. It was so funny because she obviously remembered, because when she was chatting to me, I had the joint, but I kind of, because I didn't want to just stand there smoking the joint. It's not professional, you know. And but then she'd obviously remembered. She was like, oh, I like to smoke a bit of weed back in the day as well. And I said, oh, right, yeah, sweet.
That's wacky backy.
Yeah, wacky backy. Shit. It cracked me up. And then I did the show and it was all good, man. So that's how I got on that. I actually I made it happen, innit? But at first, that's why sometimes a no, don't always take it for face value. You never know when it's going to come back around.
It's more of a negotiation sometimes.
Yeah, you know, and it's I've had it before where I've been approached for jobs, or I've asked them for a job, or other times where they've said no, and I've just kept coming to certain clubs that wouldn't let me in, blah blah blah, and I would see the promoter in a bar at somewhere else, and I'm like, you got to put me on, man. Yeah, you got to put me on, man, and like eventually, because sometimes you can be a bit cheeky with it. But that's when you do need to be good, because I used to be like that back in the day, and I'm like, fuck, now I need to smash this gig. Yeah. So that's when it gets a bit dodgy, because I'm like, if they give me a chance, I go there and I die on my ass, that's going to be very embarrassing. Yeah. Like, you got to be real confident that you can go there and deliver, you know.
So, I mean, there's some people, you know, kind of fake it till they make it until they get good.
Exactly,
and then kind of like you can justify them afterwards. But yeah, that's actually a really sick story, and something I didn't know at the time.
Yeah. I actually got turned down for it originally. So
also, it's a nice little segue, but me and Haroon were actually talking before the podcast, and it's probably one of my most memorable stories that you posted up was like your rejection box. Yes. And just going through all the letters.
Yeah.
Oh, man. From the National Youth Theatre.
Yeah, from the BBC, EastEnders, yeah.
And I would love for you to like just
please
just go in on that, please, because I've never kept any rejection stuff. But I mean, I think it's a motivator for you.
Oh, mate, it's well good to keep the letters, man. And also it shows direction as well. Like, because like you're saying about rejection is not a bad thing. It's a redirection.
Yeah,
because
Shanky says that all the time.
because sometimes it's like you when you look back in hindsight, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't get that, because if I'd have got that, I never would have been here. And so that's what's beautiful, to look back, because you can really piece your journey in that and remember, oh, when I got that rejection, like the way I deal with rejection now is so much different than back in the day. Back in the day, I would be really upset, I might even cry, just be like super down, think, oh, I'm shit, blah blah blah. Whereas now, rejection is still annoying, but I'm just like, oh, all right, anyway, and I just move on. I'm just like, I'll get a thing like, no, it's water off a duck's back now, which shows, you know, a lot of growth. Yeah, definitely, man. And because that's just a part of life. But yeah, fucking hell, man, the amount of things I auditioned for so many like schools, and National Youth Theatre a few times, and like RADA, and then different jobs as well. So much shit, man. It was crazy.
Was there one rejection that kind of like sticks in your mind a lot, like that's the one where like I'm fucking and just 100% doing my thing, or just like fuck that?
I don't know, I think it was only because I was young and stuff, because I tried to get published loads when I was a kid. I was trying to write kids books when I was a kid, and I think my mum was just humouring me. But I used to write to like Penguin books and like, and I'm sure my poems and my little short stories were shit. You know what I mean? I was only like 8, but those letters really hurt. I remember they really hurt because I understood. I was old enough to understand it, and then you think, oh, maybe I'm not good. But even at 8 years old, I was like, but I still think I'm good. You know what I mean? I was like, even though they're saying no, that's what was the confusion. I was like, but I think I'm good though. So why are they saying no? That's so weird. It was hard to process.
Because at 8, I don't know many kids at 8 writing to Penguin like, oh, I've got a book. Like, no, it just shows like, yo, you were. I'm going mad. For it.
Oh, mate, I'm just, I'm insane.
This demonstrates from an early age that, you know, the boldness was always there.
Yeah.
Sure. And now like, you're probably a lot closer to like getting a book published by Penguin.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, one day it is going to be. Do you know what? I think I've always had this thing of like, especially if I go with Penguin, to like frame the rejection letter and have it there, and then have like the cover of the book that eventually got published, and be like, wow, they're like 30 or 40 years apart. Like, how crazy is that? Like, so that's why it's good to keep things, because it's always a good reference point.
I kept one rejection letter in particular from the past that, to this day, I still read it every now and then, and you realise
what's that from?
You remember there was an app called Songkick that used to basically give you gig listings.
Oh yeah.
So back then, I'd just come out of business school, done an MBA, and you know, my then wife was like, "Look, your problem is you're too quirky for square people, and you're too square for quirky people." Like, in terms of finding a job or just finding somewhere in life to sit and be able to earn a living. And it was basically a tech business, but it was a music-based business, and they wanted someone for business development who would just go network, hustle, and build partnerships. And I thought, this is the perfect role. And they actually said no to me a bunch of times. They would never, ever, like, anytime I went for a job, they rejected me. So I actually talked to the person who ran the careers centre at business school, and I said to him, look, can you put in a word for me that he needs to just see me once? So I hustled my way in to see the CEO and founder, and we had an incredible time talking. And then basically in the end, I think at 11 in the evening, he actually wrote a proper, like, he wrote it himself, an A4 length rejection letter about, you know, it was an incredible chat. I'm actually jealous of some of the experiences you had in life. And, you know, I've been following you on Twitter. Like, you're such a smart, conscientious guy. Just, you're not the right guy for this role. And it pains me, but there are just other people better suited. But thank you for... And
that's fair enough. But those sorts of rejections, I think, are really nice, because at least you get some constructive feedback.
Yeah, no.
And you don't leave feeling like, fuck's sake. Like, I was so cheated. I felt so cheated with Life and Rhymes. I wasn't good enough. No. I am good enough. Why aren't you putting me on the show? That's what I want to know. I needed to know the reason why. It wasn't that I wasn't good enough, you know what I mean? And the same, I got down to, they were doing a whole rebranding of E4. And it was like they were finding a new presenter for E4, right? And I had it in a bag. I was like, right, and it was like this whole big thing. And there was like a competition, but I was like, I'm definitely going to be down into the final. I knew I didn't have to go through the different routes just because of who I was, which was a bit cheeky, but they do it on X Factor. TV is not all it seems. So they did this big competition to find somebody. They put me in the final 5 without me having to do anything. And then I thought, well, I'm definitely going to get it. I get down to the final 3. And then we did this big Zoom call thing, and it was great. Everyone from E4, Channel 4, there's about 8 of us on this Zoom call. I was making them laugh. It was like good chat. And in my head, I put the phone down and I was like, yeah, I've got that. Because I know that was the final bit of them just seeing my personality and stuff. I'm young. I wear my hat backwards. Well, I look a lot younger than I am. And anyway, they fucking got to me and were like, they said to me, you ain't got it. I'm like, right. And I said, why? And they were like, oh, we just, we love your voice, we love your style, we think you're great and so confident, you've done loads of things, we find your CV very impressive, blah, blah,
blowing smoke up your ass again.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, so why haven't I got it? And they were like, oh, you're overqualified. I said, that is fucking stupid bullshit. I said, that is fucking... I said, who have you gone with then? And then she said the name. This was a guy that had been doing stand-up for 6 months, really young boy, very nervous, like, and I said, you just want a young person you can fucking boss around that has no clue of the industry. That's why you don't want me, because I'm too strong.
And you said that.
Paying them loss. Yeah. Anyway, I fucking went mad and I said, this is absolute fucking bullshit, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that was that, right? Because I thought it was a really bullshit thing to say to me. I'm like, I'd rather you say, you know, like that, give me some sincerity and say, look, we think you could have done this better, or you'd be more suited for this. I would have taken the rejection then. It's when I feel like you're lying to me, you're telling me half truth. Anyway, I did a showcase gig, because sometimes at my industry they get everyone from TV down. It's a showcase. We all do very short sets, and then we have big meetings with where they want to put us in TV and radio and voiceover and all this sort of shit. Happens twice a year, and it's like great, good networking opportunity. Anyway, I'm at the bar, I'm having a drink with my agent, and this bird comes over and she's like, hi, I won't say her name, from E4, and I said, oh, yeah, because I'd had a few bits of drink. And my agent was like, Sarah, I'll take this. And she's like,
is this the old agent or the new one?
No, my new one, innit? And because sometimes she says to me, let's just not do any talking and let me just speak, which is fine. I can let her take the reins. And she was just like, I'm so sorry. She said, I really fought for you. And it was like a voting system between everyone in the company. Oh, okay. And you literally missed out on a couple of votes. And she said, I really think the reason they gave you was bullshit, blah, blah. And I would love to work with you on maybe some other projects and all this sort of stuff. And like, she won me over in the end. And I thought, okay, well, you're one of the good guys. Like, it's cool. And she wanted to see some scripts and whatever. But like, it was just funny. And I said, you agree with me though? It was bullshit what they said about being overqualified. And she said, yes. And because sometimes when I lose my rag, I instantly feel guilty. Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that. But when someone validates your reaction, I thought, yeah, I was right to pull you up on it and to actually call you out on your shit. And it was the same with Life and Rhymes. I'm like, don't chat shit to me. You're allowed to not like me, and you're allowed to not give me a job, of course. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. But don't lie to me and tell me I'm not good or that I'm not overqualified. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's just so dumb, innit? But yeah, it's nice to get those real responses, because I'm all about authenticity.
Do you feel like as well, like in the industry, especially like comedy and TV and stuff, like it's a bit of a boys' club, or do you feel like that's another obstacle?
Oh yeah, it is a boys' club, but I'm definitely in the boys' club because of my personality. So that's not really something I've dealt with. I had this on another podcast once. They was talking to me about sexism within the entertainment industry, and yeah, I mean, it's very clear that it's a male-dominated industry for sure. But I've never had any problems,
because you kind of have this vibe where you just cool with the lads. Like,
yeah, I've always hung out with boys and stuff, even when I was younger, and that, so that's never been a problem. And I'm not like, I don't really get offended at stuff, and so they can sort of say pretty much anything around me, and I'm so cool. I stick up for myself.
You're not brittle.
No, I'm not. No, I've got a thick skin, and yeah, so it's cool, innit? And I stick up for myself as well. So if anything inappropriate was said, like I used to do this joke about when the hashtag #MeToo campaign was going around and stuff, and I did this whole big speech about, you know, it's terrible what's happening, and, you know, and these people need to be stopped, and I'm really glad people are being called out for their behaviour. But, you know, the one thing that is upsetting me out of all of this is, you know, no one's ever tried to sexually harass me. You know, what's wrong with me?
I remember that.
I was hashtag why not me too, you know what I mean? And it was, so I was... I did this whole big bit about, like, what, am I not fit enough now? And then, and
no,
they're
I
like,
remember
Sarah, men are scared of you, innit? There's no way someone's going to touch your bum in a fucking green room or try and, like, sexually assault you in a car. And I'm like, well, why not? It would be nice if someone tried. You know what I mean? So I sort of just made a joke out of it like that, innit? But I had a bit of backlash for that joke, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, that's like, yeah.
It was usually with females with pink hair that would come up to me and screw. But most of the time, people would laugh.
So a very particular profile.
Yeah, but no. But the thing is, it's the joke was on me, and it's clearly a joke, innit? But yeah,
some people don't have a sense of humour. I've actually got a story. I don't know if it's worth telling about one of your jokes and your routines where I repeated it in public and I got into trouble for it.
Did you? What was that?
So you remember your Soho Theatre gig?
Yeah.
So I was hanging out outside with like your bass player and a couple of guys, and do you remember back in the day you had this routine about, you cracked this joke about, oh, you know, my dad's really racist, like he's like, oh, you know, immigrants are taking our jobs, And then the next part of your routine is like, oh, my dad's now, robots are taking our jobs. Robots are taking our jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And the finisher was like, your dad's like, oh, it's immigrant robots taking our jobs. I thought that was really, really funny. So I started repeating that, going, oh, yeah, she's got this whole joke about her dad being racist, da-da-da. And then this guy basically stepped up who was your paternal uncle. I didn't know it was him.
Oh, shit.
And he's like, well, as a matter of fact, I need to correct you. Like, Sarah's dad's actually worked in so-and-so place, and he's got Asian, like, colleagues, da-da-da. So, like, he's not like that, just to sort of set you straight, young man. Da-da-da. And,
no way! Oh, my days. That's funny.
I've never died or wanted to, like, I literally
the ground to swallow you up.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not get into family on this podcast, but
no, I'm not going there.
But
Just saying.
I mean, I am correct, but I mean, he is quite racist, but yeah, I mean, obviously he's sticking up for his brother and whatever. But that he's my estranged uncle. I actually didn't know he was coming to the show. It was really weird that he was there and he came with his wife, and it was. Yeah, and he hadn't seen me do stand-up, I think, once, about 10 years ago. So that was wild for me. And then he was, like, chatting to everyone and chatting to people in my band and shit. And some people thought, is that your dad? And I'm like, no.
Do they look alike?
But I think...
No, they don't look alike. And I don't look like him.
Because your bass player kept saying, Haroon, I was trying to give you a cue or a warning to shut up. But I was like, bro, I'm autistic.
Yeah, I was going to say,
no.
You ain't getting those micro fucking trying to, like, these little looks. Like.
No, I can't. Like, because we talked about this when I told you when I diagnosed. You were like, oh, I didn't think so, but I always thought you were really socially awkward, Haroon. I think you said that to me, which,
I've worked with a lot of autistic people over the years in various different jobs and events and organisations, and I know you're autistic. But
everyone says this.
Oh yeah, 100%. But it wasn't like I judged you on it or thought any different of you. Like, I just knew there was a way that I would have to communicate with you. You know what I mean?
But, no, I appreciate it. Which is why it's never been a problem. We've always gotten on well. Yeah. So thank you.
No worries.
But
thank you for insulting my uncle. I mean, that is funny. I can't believe you've only just told me about this now. Fucking hell. A year?
We didn't have a chance. When was the chance?
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
You ended up traipsing off to Australia.
Let's talk about Australia, because like, Australia is a big move. Obviously, it's the other end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously, I didn't know that was... Is that a permanent thing, or is that just...
Hopefully, yeah, soon. I'm trying to work on my permanent residency, but I'll always be back. I'll always be coming back. So,
but that I want it to happen because I need a couch to basically surf.
Yeah, man. Look, I'll host you. You can come to me anytime. Definitely, man.
I'll cook for you guys.
Sukasa. Yes, I would love that. Yeah, you're a good cook as well. Yeah. I've seen the videos. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. But yeah, it is a mad move. But in terms of my mental health and stuff, it's the right move, definitely. Yeah.
It must be a good space because obviously Australia's big. You get a lot of space. There's a lot of sun, good food. I don't know if you surf. You probably do.
No, I don't actually. I want to learn though. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just a nice break from just regular London life because London life is just.
It's a lot, yeah, man. Yeah. I feel like it's getting to me now. So, but you know, my life is the same over there. Like, I'm gigging all over the country. Like, literally, I'm in all the clubs in Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide. The last place I need to hit up, but a few promoters have got in touch about doing the Gold Coast and up by Brisbane. That's pretty much the entire country on lock. Plus I do Sofa Sounds gigs over there. I know producers, musicians, so I'm going to create a band out there as well, and I want to start running my own poetry jam nights as well, because places like Melbourne and that, they haven't really got a scene. They've got like music scenes, but nothing like here. So like a bit like Imaginary Millions. I want to, because I met up with Rob actually when I was in Melbourne. His nephew is a producer, a fantastic producer, right? And we went to the studio, we made some music. So it's like life really hasn't changed. It's just
different backdrops.
Yeah, man, different backdrops. But it's just like everyone's really chilled. And because I'm from, I'm British and I'm a girl and I'm different, I get so much fucking work out there. So it's just easy, man. Like, it's just a nice pace of life, and I think it was needed because I couldn't stay in London no more.
This is the thing I wanted to ask, and I think touched upon it again offline before we jumped onto the podcast. Like, even doing 3 weeks in New York, I found that things are a bit more frictionless than in London. Like, my experience in London, I feel, is that you're told to basically wait your turn, or that there's sometimes gatekeeping. Whereas in New York, in under 3 weeks, I'm talking to someone who was on the wire, who's like, I want your book. I was talking to someone who works at Def Jam for the last 25 years. He's like, bruv, you got to send me your book.
But there is gatekeepers everywhere. But the thing is that you're finding is, and what you do find when you first go somewhere is you're different. So people are going to be attracted to you. So you're still doing the same things. It's like a plant
you find
pot.
That
it's
in
like
Australia?
a plant. Yeah, definitely. It's like a plant pot. Yeah, you can only get so big. It's not that you're not going to get any bigger. Take it out, change your environment, put you in a bigger pot. You, of course, will grow bigger. You'll get more contacts. You'll be more stimulated. You've got more inspiration for your art and your creativity and stuff. You're more in a better place because you're a bit more. You're putting out better vibes because you're inspired. You know what I mean? I'm a much nicer, chilled person there because I can be and I'm free to be. You know what I mean? There are still gatekeepers. There's still cliques. There's still politics, of course, but we're not seeing it because we're a novelty. So that's why you need to ride that way for as long as possible, innit?
Yeah. But this is something interesting you touched upon, which was I found that in New York, I was a much better version of myself.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, I'm very gracious. There's a generosity, and it's a bit of an adjustment being back in London. So what I want to ask you is, going from growing up in Uxbridge and then obviously taking advantage of the fact that you are in London and sort of going towards Central, going to more gigs and having that expansion, what was that inflection point where you felt like, okay, I've potentially maxed out what I can get, or that you could get more, but it would be more incremental and slower, and you realize, okay, now I need to change the scenery so that I can have another period of, because I think as artists, it's not a curve like this. I think it's not linear. It's more like step changes. Like you have this big spurt, and then there's a plateau, and then a spurt. So, what was that point where you felt like there was a plateau in London, and you felt that you could go somewhere like Melbourne or Adelaide in Australia?
I don't know, man. I feel like it was a slow process, to be honest. I don't think it was like one specific moment. I do feel like I've achieved a lot in London, but there's like a ceiling almost. I've been touring Australia back and forth for the last 7 years. So I know the country very well. I've got a lot of friends out there. I'm in all the clubs. So that's cool. So I feel very at home there. It's not like a huge scary step for me in that respect. But what I did find, and that's from other people making comments, is when I spend an extensive time there, when I come back, everyone's like, wow, man, like you've stepped your game up. And I could literally still be doing the same material, but it's like my confidence and all that. And I think a change of scenery makes you a better performer, makes you more confident. And I feel it. Same way when I come back here, I'm much better here. Then I go there, I'm much better there. So that's why I want to go back and forth, because it's consistently making me strong. And it's not so much in my art, it's my mental health. Unless you're in like good mental health, I feel like you can't be creating the best art that you can. So that was the moment for me. I think the first time I went to Oz for like 4 months, I thought, I'm just so happy here and I'm making so much better art. When I came back and I really noticed how unhappy I was here. I never noticed I was unhappy here, because you're just in the rat race all the time, blah, 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 blah. Like you're sometimes depressed, sometimes not. Like you don't feel actually how toxic it is until you remove yourself from that situation. So going there and then coming back, I was like, yeah, this ain't the one, man. So I think that was the big point for me. But it was really nothing to do with art, even though people have said those nice things. It was more like, how do I feel within myself? And this is the thing that I'm doing now, is with my life, in anything, relationships, my work, is I'm not making decisions based on like head or heart or reality or being rational. I'm leading by feeling. How do I feel? How do I feel in this situation? And I lead by feeling. I go where I feel good. And fuck, I can't afford it. I don't care. We'll make it happen because I feel good here. Or I don't know about this job. Or even doing a job where, I mean, it's very rare it happens, but say someone asks me to do a charity gig where obviously I'm not getting paid or something. Rationally, I'm like, nah, I ain't got the time. Fuck that. I need money. When I could be gigging that night making money, I'm like, no, I really want to do this. I feel like this is right. Makes me feel good. I want to do this favour for this friend. It's for a good cause. I'm going to go here. And it's like, even with people and stuff, like I started seeing this new bloke and I was like, oh, I just come out of a relationship and I didn't know whether. And I was like, I just feel really good when I'm around him. So yeah, let's continue. The same way as if I don't feel good, that's what makes it easier for me to say no now. I've been offered jobs, big money jobs, and I've said no. And people have been like, why have you done that? And I'm like, I don't know, I just didn't feel it. And that's working for me at the moment. So I think it's a good way to move.
I'd agree.
Yeah, because you were feeling something similar about just kind of just going with what you feel in terms of...
I've been
It's
getting
really good.
better at that, but I think some of it has also come from an understanding of like understanding how you feel. So we've talked about this when it comes to the journey of like recovery from trauma, mental health, and childhood stuff, which is actually understanding that unrest that you can have when you're peaceful isn't a bad thing. It's just that you're not adjusted to it.
Yeah, it's just unusual. But that's why New York was good for you, because it gave you that moment to be like, okay, what do I want?
Yeah.
And you coming back, well, having such a positive experience there, you coming back and being depressed. Maybe that's what triggered a bit of depression, because you could see how good it was there. Yeah, and how different you were saying about the gatekeepers and meeting cool people and stuff. You know what I mean?
It's really different and difficult. But I think what's been really good is like just talking to my partner and just sort of saying, look, I really love New York. And my partner just joked. I was just like, okay, so this is not you basically trying to break up with me. And I go there. I was like, no, it's about saying that I want this, us. But also something shifted in me in New York. And I think one of my friends was very blunt when I said I'm having a bad time adjusting. He's like, maybe New York is for you.
Yeah, maybe, you know, but you're only going to know if you give things a try. It's like, I was very, like, moving to Australia permanently, I was definitely anxious and apprehensive about it. And I was talking to my mum about it, actually. And I was like, oh, I just don't know. And she's like, Sarah, if it doesn't work out, just come home.
Back, yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
But you'll never know if you don't try.
But it's also...
You're not a failure, you know.
But also it's about realising that sometimes, maybe at least at this point, the move is not the right move for me. But just understanding that I need to just spend a bit more time in that
just
space.
spend some time there. You don't need to be a final thing like moving there. You could just spend a couple months maybe and then...
Yeah, because the other thing, unlike yourself, like where you said that you sort of hit a sort of ceiling, I'm very aware that there's a lot more juice to be squeezed out of the lemon in London, at least for me, in terms of where my trajectory is.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot more to sort of go and do.
But it's never a bad thing to go and network and build contacts everywhere. Because even my new mates in Australia, they're like, how do you know everyone here? I said, bro, I've been coming here for 7 years. Like, I've built up a lot of relationships. And obviously, all over the world.
But you're also now inspiring me to maybe come spend some time in Oz as well.
Yeah, man. I'll just introduce to people. Obviously, Rob's out there. You know Rob, don't you? And it's there's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the first podcast when we talked about like stepping outside of your town.
So we said this. I said that basically a prophet always needs to leave his town.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Chani about this, who's one of our early guests in the podcast. And her thing was like, look, one of the most non-negotiable things if you're an artist is you do have to travel.
Oh, 100%.
It's non-negotiable for an artist. You have to travel.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's quite easy being autistic for me to just get fixated on New York. But I think what I learned was I do need to get out of London and the UK more, potentially. And as artists, we need to sort of change our scenery and just see.
Yeah, that's why the cliques and all the people that go to the same gigs week in, week out, they are not a threat to me because they're not growing or doing anything. They're not.
But you've made me. But you've made me feel that differently, because again, someone said this to me and sort of said, "Look, these cliques that you're sweating, bigger than that." Even this city. No, this friend said. So it was actually Selena from Lunar Legacy said, "Even this city, as much as you love it, London, you're bigger than that."
100%. Even just like, I've been all over the world, all over Europe, everywhere, right? But even just like Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, fucking Kettering, like, it's not just London, it's all the outskirts and it's not, you don't need to get on a plane necessarily, but do all the, you know,
get
you
out
have
of
to.
your comfort zone.
Yeah, 100%. And
yeah, I agree, man.
You know, and that's what makes you versatile as an artist, because I perform in front of, I've done all Asian crowds, I've done black gigs, I've done gigs to old people, I've done work in men's clubs, I've done, you know, female only lineups, it's young, old, you know, it's like, that's how you get better as an artist, because you're consistently moving around so many different ethnicities and age groups and like north-south divide, like, you know what I mean? It's like crazy.
I'm doing my first...
If you just stick to the same people, that's why it must have been great for you being with Americans, because that's another whole, I mean, I've never gigged in America. That's one country I've not touched yet. So it's
a gig there. But again, it was interesting. I think as an artist, you have to think outside of the box. So sometimes I didn't go to even like poetry spots. I just went basically to a place called the Centre for Fiction.
Oh, right.
So it's a place where writers hang out, and just talking to novelists and just talking to different writers about what I go and do. And I think just going into different spaces, like for example, I went to a block party, and just at a block party, you just end up talking to and interacting with people. Like New Yorkers can be quite open if you resonate on the right frequency. If you don't, they'll fucking tell you to fuck off. Basically. No, because New Yorkers are very blunt, direct people. But talking about the different settings, like for example, I'm doing my first festival next week.
Oh, nice.
And that's with like an Asian organisation, South Asian organisation that I've been wanting to get on their radar for forever. And that's going to be interesting because that's like a whole family thing. And it's just a very different setting. So, yeah. And it's in Walthamstow, which is the other end of fucking London.
Well, for me, East is far. But isn't East and South like kind of close together?
Bruv. So I live in
it'll take you like an hour to get there, though.
Longer, no, because I live in Morden, so I have to go 6 stops to Stockwell.
It's the train line.
A stop to the Victoria line, and then I'm at the bottom of the Victoria, and Walthamstow is at the other end.
Yeah. Okay. That's long, yeah.
Like I've been to open mics in Walthamstow where I've had to leave before they finish because I need to get. That's not something that happens to me often in London.
Yeah,
like I can always get some form of transport.
Yeah,
but Walthamstow. Dude, once you go beyond Walthamstow, you're in fucking Watford. You're in Hertfordshire. Like,
I've been to.
If you slingshot, it's like being in Enfield, but with better public transport. Because Enfield is just far.
Yeah, it's far, but you got the overground and stuff. Yeah, but I've been Slough. I've been up Minster. That up Minster's crazy.
Yeah. Anywhere on the district line, bun that.
Yeah.
I love that you haven't lost the British slang since you've been in Oz.
Nah.
Because I felt like I could lose my accent.
Oh, mate, when I first got back, everyone's saying that I had an Aussie twang. I'm like, nah. But a few different people told me, and I'm like, fuck, man. So I'm really trying hard to keep the accent.
Less 2.5 weeks in New York, and I found I could hear a slight American twang entering my speech.
Some people are very susceptible to it, but no, I don't think I'm ever going to lose my accent.
I think I would be, because whenever I talk to someone with an accent, I think I just kind of, it's not like I'm mocking them, but I kind of put it on a little bit.
Yeah, Scottish is the only one that I can't help but repeat back.
I literally turned down a lead role in a play because they wanted me to do a Scottish accent or a Brum accent, and it was on such short notice. I was like, this is the next time you got something, and if I don't have to
Brummie's hard. Brummie's hard accent.
They got the people in Brum though, because I love the accent.
But I should have gone in so apparently the legend goes that when George Clooney went in for like his first meeting with an agent or an audition, his opening line was, "Hi, I'm George Clooney. I don't do accents." Like he went in and just was like, "This is who I am and who I'm not."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think I can remember a movie where he's done one. Yeah.
No, he ain't.
Like there was a little bit of a sudden twang when he was in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" with the Coen brothers, but otherwise, George Clooney it's like Tom Hanks. It's like he's George Clooney.
That's him doing things on his own terms.
Like exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. That's actually crazy. I wanted to ask as well, like, what is next in terms of like, what other things have you not infiltrated yet that you want to infiltrate to? Because I know you've written books. Do you want to write more books, or do you want to do scripts?
Yeah, so like I'm actually working on two books at the moment. One is coming out in hopefully September, October time.
Okay. Are you self-publishing again like before?
Yeah. Well, one of them I am. The other one I'm trying to get published because it's a novel. But the other one is poetry and short stories. And I've collaborated with an artist, Timo. You know Timo?
Oh, Timo, yeah.
Yeah,
Timo.
I'm going to see her on Friday because she's come down for Killers event.
Sick, so, yeah. So I really, I've always been a massive fan of her work.
She's amazing.
So we've collaborated on this book, and some of the illustrations she's done are just sick. And so unfortunately I'm not going to be in the country, otherwise we would have done like a book launch and had a little party thing. But that's not going to happen, unfortunately, but the book will be out. And then, I'm working on this other novel as well. So that's happening. I'm working on 2 scripts as well. One's a sitcom, one's a comedy drama. I mean, they take years to come to fruition. So, but yeah, I've been working on those for a while. So that would be great to do that. I would love to like act, write and star in a good piece for TV, and voiceover, but just from a money perspective. I want to get more into voiceover because it's great money. So yeah, I've got I'm working on a show reel at the minute, so my agent can send that off. What's another industry I'd love to get in? I would love to like do more music, because I do music, and I play drums, but I'm not the best, so I really want to over the next 12 months really crack down on it, going up a level in my playing ability.
Get to Anderson Paak levels.
Well, fucking one day,
Paak is
one day, maybe not soon, but I would love to do because obviously everything that I do, my art, it is all work really, and I'm getting paid. I want to be in a band just as a hobby, just for fun, something I can switch off and just play some music in a band. So that would be really nice to do something that just for me, with no pressure, no deadlines, no performance, no like I'm not doing it for money. It's just a couple of people jamming and. So that would be cool. I'd really want to like do that, but I need to get a bit better on drums first, I think. And what another industry I'd want to infiltrate? I don't know, man. That's pretty much it, I reckon.
I've always thought that if you ever did like a Netflix special, that would be sick.
Yeah. I mean, any umbrella, anything that comes from comedy. I mean, I'm all for it, man.
So I was watching. I'm gonna murder his name, but He's from Crawley.
Ramesh Ranganathan.
Yeah. So his first. Have you watched it? So he's.
Yeah.
There's like you could.
I did his podcast
yeah,
by the way.
Hip Hop Saved My Life. Yeah, I remember.
Because
you got into a whole, and I actually disagree with you on this.
What?
But
about Kendrick?
Yep.
Well, what did you say about Kendrick?
You said To Pimp a Butterfly, he's gotten too serious or whatever.
Yeah, I appreciated it as a body of work, but I don't bang that album.
I mean, well, Kendrick
Which
fans
ones
will
do you
like
bang?
Section
Dab.
80 and
Section 80 and Good Kid.
Good Kid.
Do you like Mr. Morales and the Hot Steppers?
I do, yeah. But I don't bang it as much as the others.
The first two.
Yeah.
Most Kendrick, I think fans would agree, though.
His early stuff is like just more because but I wasn't dissing him.
It's just like your least favourite.
Oh, no, I know you weren't dissing him. It's just
I know some people love To Pimp a Butterfly. I know.
It was a moment for me, definitely.
Yeah.
It was the one where I was just
you stirred him up.
No,
that was a funny podcast. But what were you going to say about Ramesh?
No, I was going to say like because obviously Netflix was like you can do it anywhere, and then he decided to do it in Crawley.
Yeah,
and that was a whole comedy bit. But like if you were to like do your first Netflix special, where would you have your first? Where would you do it? Where would you host it?
Ooh.
Would you do it in Uxbridge or would you do it somewhere in London?
The Compass Theatre in Ickenham.
Working Men's Club
my God.
in Zone 7.
Do you know what? Where would I do it? I don't know. There's no sort of venue that holds a special place in my heart, actually. I just want to do it. Maybe I'll do it at the Comedy Store in London, just because it's a prestigious place and it would just look cool. And that room is nice, like how it's sort of like in the round. Then you've got audience all around you like that, and you could pack it out. Maybe there. That'd be quite cool. Yeah.
Do you have any like comedy heroes or idols? Like?
There's a guy called John Kearns who a lot of people don't know because he's not. He's like an alternative comic, but he actually was the first person ever to win. Like they used to call it the Perrier Award, but the Edinburgh Comedy Award twice in a row. He won Best Newcomer, then he came back again and won Best Show, which had never ever it was never been done before and never been done since. And he's like silly, he wears like a wig and fake teeth and stuff. But his writing is just incredible, like because he's alternative, but there's like a method to the madness, and what he's actually saying is fantastic. I think he's a great joke writer. He makes the most beautiful shows. His work ethic is great. He's a lovely bloke as well. And he inspires me a lot. And he's always, when we actually became friends, this is mad, like when you have heroes and then they become your friend, it's like, you realise, like, he messaged me one time and he's like, I always get nervous when I know you're in the audience. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because I think you're amazing. And I'm like, fucking hell. I'm like, you're getting nervous because I'm sitting there. Like, so just things like that. So he really, really inspires me. And also just keeping it real. Like when so he faced a lot of rejection. And when he won the Best Newcomer, obviously, when you start to do well, people start licking your ass. And he had so much integrity and class. Because when he did his speech, the awards is a massive deal. It's the biggest comedy award you can ever win in the world, right? In the world. Edinburgh is the biggest arts festival in the world. And to win that award is like the pinnacle bang, you know what I mean, being a comedian. So there's a lot of celebrities there. And I think it was like Frank Skinner was giving out the awards and we're there and we're in the audience and you do a speech. And he basically said in his speech, you know, obviously I'm paraphrasing, but just sort of like, none of you wanted to know me a month ago. Yeah. And now all of you want to sign me. And all of you, you know, I've done this on my terms. I've continued to keep creating and being authentically me and doing my work. year in, year out, and like it's not going to change, and I'm not going to say yes to any of you that are trying to give me work or sign me. I'm going to stay independent and blah blah. And he just, it was so inspiring to me because he could have had the world in the palm of his hand, but I think you get to a stage where you understand that it's fickle, man. Like I had it before when I was on the trajectory in 2015. I was on TV a lot, I was in the papers, and everyone wanted to be my mate. And I was young, and I just thought, oh yeah, great. Year later, bang, I had the worst show of my life, fell into depression, I got some rejection, and I made some big, awful career moves. Everyone went. No one wanted to chat to me. No one wanted to be my mate. And that really hit me hard, but it gave me a really big life lesson to think, this industry's fake as fuck, man. And that's why you need to handpick the people that you choose to get close to, continue being you, just continue being nice, but moving forward straight through it.
You can be cordial with people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm nice to everyone, man, but it's just like, do not believe these, because these people come and go, and they only want you when you can do something for them, or when you're hot shit. And you got to make note of the people that are around you when you're not having a good time, or when you're not that good. And that's what I say to people, because I've had it before. Why chatting to him? He's a shit comedian. I'm like, I don't care of his creative ability. Is he a nice person? I'm chatting to him because he's a nice person, and that's what I care about. I care about the person. You could be the most famous comedian in the world. If you're a cunt, I'm not chatting to you, bruv. It's like that. It's just simple as that. And that's the way I've always operated in my life. But so yeah, John Kearns, big up John Kearns. He's fantastic, man, and I take a lot from him creatively and personally. Yeah.
It's a good decision-making criteria to have, because I think for myself, so the metaphor I use is that when things are going really good in life, the music's playing. When the music's playing, everyone wants to be around you. But really, you should be choosing the people around you where...
It's quiet.
Are they the people...
When it's quiet.
When the music stops,
yeah, when the music stops, where are they?
Basically,
judging people in terms of discerning who you want around you by... Who do I want when the music's not playing? And who's actually going to want to be around when the
who's a
music's
nice
not playing?
person, who's an honest, authentic person, and who inspires me. You know what I mean? It's not about what you can do for me. It's like, do I gain something from being in your presence? Do I walk away feeling lighter or happier or inspired? Like, they're the things that I think about. I never make any decision based on how much money you have or where you stand in the career height. So I was saying about it, you know, you mentioned some names about people, and like, it's just like, I'm not gassed if someone who's doing really well says to me, oh, do you want to do this with me? It's like, all right, cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like anyone else asking me. And I think it's easy to get swept up in those things. And because you can admire people, of course, you can admire their journey. And respect them and stuff, but they're no better than you. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just they started their journey a bit earlier than you. You know, because I've had people like that I've really looked at, and now I've gone like that, and now I'm higher up than them. But what does it really mean? I'll still chat to them like anything, and that's life, man. Yeah. And that's why you got to be nice to everyone, because they'll be there when you come down. I've had it. People have been pricks, and they've been really humbled when their careers have gone a bit skew-iff, and you see them again, and you're like, you're right. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's but yeah.
But it doesn't always have to be that way, because I think it's because more it's a teaching moment of like one of the things that I always remind myself is, no matter how good things get, it's not going to be permanent.
Nothing's permanent.
There's going to be quiet periods.
Joy is not permanent, and stress is not permanent, and bad times are not nothing is. So just you have to take the moment for what it is. And that's why there's a saying in comedy: you're only as good as your last gig. So if you smash a gig, don't let it get to your head, because you've got a gig tomorrow. You know what I mean? And that, or the same way as if you die, you have a terrible gig. Don't sit around moping about it. Get up, next one. It's like, you know, you can't get too sad, and you can't get too arrogant. You always have to be centre, you know, because you can always improve, always.
I always feel like you can learn from the last thing, but also like you don't have to be as precious about it, because obviously you can always get better with every show. It's about improving incrementally, and it doesn't matter if it's by 1%, if it's by 5 or by 10. You just go keep going until you're just like better than yesterday. Yeah.
You're only in competition with yourself, and I know these are quite cliche sayings, but it's true, man. And that's good, because then it doesn't cause jealousy, competition with other people. No one's in your lane. Yeah, you're not judging. That's the thing. I'm one of one. I can't compete with you because you're not me, and you know what I mean. And it's like,
and no one can do what you can do. No one can do what you do.
Exactly. So there really is no competition, and that's why everyone should just be nice to each other. The only reason why these cliques have formed and people are horrible or a bit weird or hostile is because they're insecure. Yeah, that's literally it.
That's the thing.
And I can be genuinely, and it's not fake, I'm genuinely nice to everyone I meet, because no one is a threat to me.
It's like people are just people with them.
Exactly. And they're
not competition. They're not.
You could have more money than me or be doing better gigs than me, but I'm like, cool, I'm so confident. I'm like, well, I'll be there one day, so it's cool. You're on your journey, I'm on mine, but we're just in.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah,
basically.
There's no need to be like that. So when I do see people being like that, I just kind of just feel sorry for them. I just think, I wish you could be a bit more secure within yourself. Yeah. Because again, I'm not a threat to you either, because you're on our path is different, isn't it? Everyone's on a unique path. So
I'm kind of curious as well, like, because obviously there's a lot of people that we're watching who want to kind of have this kind of same success as you, or in terms of just trying to get to a space where they can be comfortable being an artist and doing things on their own terms. Is there any advice you would tell them about, you know, having representation, or just moving in the music, comedy, and like TV business? So like, because obviously there's a lot of people that are just using you for your fame because you're hot, or that you can do something for them.
Yeah.
Or just even just trying to exploit you for your art and just make money off you. Like, what is the best piece of advice that you can give, or someone's giving you? I mean,
I think best piece of advice: don't get gassed. I think always take a breath. Like, when people are blowing smoke up your ass, don't let it get to your head. Like, obviously, if people are going to tell you you're good or whatever, obviously it's nice, and you know, appreciative of it, and say thank you and stuff. But always know that there is always room for improvement. And I think if you just continue to have the blinkers on and work on your art, all the things will come. If you work to be the best you can be, like really slick, professional at all times, you know, remember you're being watched all the time, even if you think you ain't, even if you're just sitting there on your phone, people are watching you. So just be very conscious of that. Be very conscious of the things you put on social media. Be nice to everybody. I think network is always really good to network, because you never know who you're going to meet. I've met musicians and producers and videographers and photographers all just by having a chit chat, you know what I mean? And and I just think just be nice, and because people ask me about representation and how'd you get this gig and this gig. I didn't ask for a single feature. I was approached for every single poetry gig I ever did, I think, in the whole time I was doing it, or on the scene. Same as agents, I've never emailed to get representation. Every single agent's always come to me, and I think that is just because this is what I'm saying, don't chase, attract. And if you're the best you can be, people will want to be a part of that, you know what I mean? But yeah, don't get gassed, just continue to keep working. Don't ever take your foot off the gas. So we're saying about mental health and stuff, it's like, okay, well, I'm good now, so I can sit here. It's like, no. And even me, that's why I started doing different things, because then I have different strings to my bow. Started writing the books, started playing the drums, doing the poetry, doing the acting, writing scripts, and it's like, because then I've got so many other things to offer. I'm not just a one-trick pony, and that again makes you more attractive. That opens up so many more doors for connection with people and meeting people and getting work. And it stops you from feeling like you're stagnating, because if you get a bit bored or you feel like you're stagnating in one area, then you can just move on to something else, you know what I mean? And that's what I would say. I would say build up your skills, be nice to everybody. Don't let the compliments get to your head. Don't ever get arrogant. Stay humble, and just keep gigging, innit? Gig.
You heard it from Sarah Callaghan. Wow.
Sorry, I wish I could say that in one sentence. I can't ever.
Just be you. That's actually amazing. And yeah, I've also one thing, because for people that don't know, it's on my YouTube channel, but I actually won Sarah Callaghan's books.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. I actually unboxed them. I don't know if you saw that video. I unboxed it.
Oh, sick.
And I was being a proper nerd at the time. Sorry, I was being a proper fanboy. But cute, like what I really loved is your attention to detail. I think you did the art for the covers, right?
I drew them, but then I got this artist called Poppy Hillstead to do the paintings and stuff. But the original drawings were mine. Yeah.
That was so beautiful, because another thing about you is like you just have you really are a definition of a multifaceted artist, and you just do everything. And I think for me, I don't like working with other people. Just I told this to Nomadic, and it's not that I don't like working with other people, but I'm a perfectionist, but also I love doing things my way.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I can see that in you too. But also like your attention to detail in terms of like in the covers, you've got like grime lyrics.
Yeah.
And I think I might have told you about it. Like what I like. So like, what made you want to do that? And then also like, who's your top 5 or top 3 if you wanna start conversations like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I love continuity, and I love noticing it in artists. I know Kendrick does it. I'm a huge Kendrick fan. In a few of his songs, he'll like mention things from previous songs or albums or certain names or people in that. And I really love that. And so in my art, I wanted to do that. So all the covers are leading on. So one is me standing in front of a council estate.
Yeah.
The next one, the council estate is burnt to the ground, and then the next one, you can see the council estate in the background where it's sort of being rebuilt. But then I'm in a field with lots of flowers and stuff. So all 3 lead on, and then the grime lyrics. I don't know. That was just like a fun thing. I thought I'm going to put a grime lyric at the back of each book, and just like a different thing. It was just like a fun thing for me. So when people mention it, I'm like, oh, you clocked it. Yeah, good. Because a lot of people don't even notice I've done that.
I noticed.
Yeah, you're a real one. So yeah, I don't know. It's just fun little things that make the process for me more interesting. And
that's like an in thing for you. Like no one needs to even notice it, but that's just something for yourself, which I really appreciate. So I guess the new books are gonna have the same kind of like.
Nah, so that trilogy's done.
Okay, cool.
The other book is God, I haven't even thought of the artwork yet.
Okay.
The one that I'm collaborating with Timo, I don't know what we're doing for the cover for that, but I guess it's going to be like in her style of art. But then that novel I'm writing, man, I don't know, I'm not sure, but yeah, it will come to me. It'll come to me. Yeah, I'm still in the writing process at the moment, but top 3. What grime artists?
I mean, could be artists from. Should I say UK, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'd say I'd much prefer UK music, to be honest. Even though I'm a Kendrick fan, I'm not really big into American music. But okay, right. That's hard for 3, but I will say.
Or we do 5.
Okay, 5.
In high fidelity style, right? Top 5.
Top 5, yeah.
Chip.
Yes,
I'm a
big Chip
fan. And I hate it when people don't ever mention him, because he is like
16,
grassroots
from 16.
bruv, like he's churned it out, like, and he's a really great
it
bloke.
gets like that.
Yeah, it gets like that. I've listened to a lot of his interviews and podcasts and stuff, and he's just a really like well together, put together man. He's fantastic, and he's all about the art, and he's sick, man. He's someone that I would love to speak to, like, in real life.
Somehow it will happen.
Oh, mate, I'm manifesting it. Yeah.
Maybe we get a podcast and get the 2 of them on.
If I can get Chip on the podcast, I have blown up,
mate. You'd be like, Sarah who?
I'll be like, Vlad.
Yeah. There's me like, be nice to everyone. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, Chip, you're right, yeah.
So good that I'm not even in my own podcast. I'm just like off screen.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club style. Or drink champs.
So yeah, Chip, Wretch 3-2.
Okay.
Oh, Wretch is one of my personal favourites.
Dave.
Dave,
he's there too.
New one, new blood.
There's something I'm anticipating you'll put in there. I'm going to see if you will put them in.
Skepta.
Yeah,
I love
Konnichiwa was a dope album.
Mate, I love
concept
I
of the
love
album
Skepta.
was amazing. I love when people have concepts.
I love the whole of BBK actually. But so whoever said Chip, Wretch, Skepta, Dave, and I would say Kano.
Ooh.
Okay, I agree.
Kano's dope. I agree.
Home Sweet Home, I always go back to Home Sweet
I'm surprised Little Sims didn't make it in your top 5.
Shit.
Well, she's
not
more than
grime.
She's
She's a rapper. She's a rapper. Yeah,
Okay.
it's different.
Dave's
but
a rapper, but as well, I guess he's not. Grime. He's been
I
on grime
suppose
tracks,
so.
though.
Yeah, but then obviously you've got like Stormzy. I do like Stormzy in that, but he's obviously very commercial.
Until he replies to Chip.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He died
He's
there.
not in my top 10.
But I love Frisco as well.
Frisco. I love Frisco.
But
Yeah.
Kano is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I was going to say Frisco's in my top 7 or top 5, depending.
I'm not a huge fan of Getz. I do like. I find his voice a little bit jarring, but he is fantastic. Like he's up there, but I wouldn't say he's in my personal top 5.
Getz is in my 5 because like he still his sound still evolves, and the way he raps, he's not as fast as he used to be. He kind of like finds new pockets now. But I mean, I don't know if you've heard his new stuff.
Nines is great. His
Nines?
new album is fantastic.
Okay. And also he's West London.
I tell you who I love as well, who I bang his album Nux.
Oh, he lives across the road.
No way!
You know what? Because I'm
He's a big Nux fan.
He's Kilburn Park, isn't it? And Kilburn Park's just across the road from where I live.
Oh my god,
So, like,
that's
Nux.
sick.
All that.
He's so young as well.
And he's a storyteller as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Nux. And when I saw him do colours,
Oh,
Kilburn's made it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was
He's great.
Yeah.
I really like. Well, actually, no, he's not grime. He's not.
Oh no, say his name. So
Parsaloo.
Parsaloo is just an amazing. Just on a track, he just sounds sick.
And I didn't know how
sick.
young he was, and his live performances. I
Yeah.
think he did like the Late Late Show or some show in America, and then I went to see him at Brixton Academy. My goodness, like that man's vision. He's a visionary in terms of how he uses the dancers and his music and stuff. And like obviously, his life has just been so crazy, but he's sick.
Yeah.
He is very, very, very sick.
I would also say, like, I think I don't know if you listen to Manga, but Manga's work rate is amazing.
No, I've not heard of him.
Manga from Roll Deep, like,
No.
have you never? Okay,
No.
so he literally puts out a project nearly every year,
Wow.
and he did one year he did 2 where it was like one project by himself and then one project with someone else, and that project with someone else is mostly focused on like mental health stuff,
Okay,
and just
yeah.
feel good vibes and just positive affirmations and stuff like that. So I would say, yeah, definitely listen to Mango, but like he's in my top 5. My top 5 changes, but the people
Dizzy
that
Rascal obviously is fucking
yeah,
sick.
I feel like Dizzy and Kano are always up there because of their first albums.
Yeah, yeah. They're just
Um,
legendary, man.
Yeah, but yeah, Kano's for me. Have I submitted? Shall I submit?
Yeah,
my
you
top
say
5?
top 5, yeah.
It's so hard. I think I might have it on my phone actually.
Yeah,
I've written it. I've
got right
committed it.
down. But yeah, Little Sims, wow, she's definitely a hero of mine for sure. But
Same.
Cool. Okay, cool. So I've got it here.
yeah,
I might change it as I say it, but Bashi,
okay,
Kano,
yeah,
Merkston, Chip, and Getz, and then above the 5, I've got Frisco, Manga, Wretch 32, J2K. I don't know. He's not really rapping no more. And P Money.
yeah, old school. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I actually agree with you with like Dave and Nux and all the new guys.
They're coming up. They're good.
Is this
They're
a grime
good.
top 5 or a rapper top 5?
I guess it's more grime.
Grime. Yeah.
But I mean, Wretch 32 for the longest time, people were asking whether he was grime or rap.
Yeah, but you got to listen to his early stuff though.
Yeah.
Like I would say I'd say it's definitely grime.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
just the
But as he's
beats.
progressed, I'd say he's more rap, like Little Sims.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, they've evolved, but
He's
I think they
evolved.
all have evolved because they're all.
Yeah.
I mean, like fucking Skepta and all them, man. They're like in their 40s.
Yeah.
They're like adults,
But like if you,
so they're not going to be there like and like calling for people. They're
Yeah,
it's just
then
a different vibe now.
Tesco's bag on your head
Yeah,
when it's raining.
yeah.
who was that guy who came up around Kano time? The guy from East London, the guy who's banned from Twitter.
Oh, are you
Wiley.
talking about?
Wiley.
Wiley.
If you see some of those early freestyles
The
of like
Godfather.
Wiley and Kano, bars for days.
Oh yeah,
I'm so surprised I actually got a top 5 because whenever I ask people top 5, it's always quite political and techie and
I don't know if I could.
nah,
get
you
top
just got to
5.
say it. You got to
gotta say it with chest,
It's,
but- yeah.
For me, I'm not thinking about what's going to sound good. I'm like, whose music do I bang
Listen to
regularly,
all the
and I
time.
really enjoy it, and it's those. And
Yeah.
yes, there are other names in it that are outside the periphery of the top 5, but I'm like, I don't listen. Like, I love Getz, but I'm like, I don't really listen to him a lot. Like, I don't, and that's just.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
I get it,
I'm an
I get
old
it.
school hip hop head, so I'm not sure if I've got a top 5 for grime.
What are
But
your top 5
What's your top 5 for
rappers then?
rappers
Yeah,
then?
if we're talking about hip hop,
yeah. It's hard, eh?
It is hard. 5 is
okay,
Yeah,
it could go as 5, but Kendrick has
Yeah.
just parachuted in there over the last few years. Mos Def is the reason I'm a writer.
Wow. Okay.
You know, Yasin Bey, Common.
Yeah.
Definitely T.Y. You know, rest in peace from
R.I.P.,
London.
yeah.
Brixton.
And then, like, I think Black Thought is another one from
yeah.
Roots.
Can't
If we
get
got,
All right.
you know, Farrah Monch is incredible.
Farrah Monch, yeah, but I've not heard most of his stuff though. But
I've been a fan of him since like Organised Confusion, like when he was doing just the stuff he did in the early 90s as part of Organised Confusion. If you play that now, it's light years ahead of anyone.
Yeah,
lyrically, flow wise. Like he did a song called Stray Bullet in the early 90s, where it's from the perspective of a stray bullet and it's chronicling all of the chaos and damage and the lives that one stray bullet does as it ricochets and goes through a bunch of people.
I think Nas did
Interesting.
that as well.
Yeah. Oh, Nas. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
Nas is in there. I mean,
Do you know I looked after Nas's kids once?
What? No, let's talk about that then. Why have we not come?
Because I remember you were a babysitter at one point. You was babysitter.
So
Wait, no, we gotta get into that
this
before
is
the
so
podcast
crazy.
ends. man.
Right, yeah, let's do this last story. So
Yeah.
I performed at a festival called Kendall Calling.
Yeah.
So every summer I do all the festivals. I do the comedy tent at all the festivals, right? So you get to go backstage and you meet a lot of the artists and that. And anyway, I was there and Khalees was performing. Right?
Oh, this is when he was married to her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Khalees was there. She was with her sister and her 2 young children at the time, so her son and her daughter. And anyway, we're back on, because I was always like, I want to get on main stage where the bands are and stuff. That was always like a big like ambition of mine, like, to get on the side to watch a show from the side of main stage. And sometimes with the wristbands, they separate like the entertainers and the musicians, right? If there's like someone really famous, whatever. But this wristband we could get in anywhere, so I'm like, sick. So I go up the ramp and the stage is huge and no one's really telling us to go away. They sort of, because we're standing there confidently, they think, oh, well, they must be part of the crew or there's somebody here. They see artists on the wristband. Cool. So we're there and we're drinking and stuff and we're watching and we're like, oh, sick, let's watch Khalees from here.
Yeah.
And I was chit-chatting with her before because she was saying she was literally coming in, doing a thing and going. So she was just like, you can have my rider, you can have the drinks and stuff in my rider. So I'm like,
Nice.
sick. So
What was the food like in the rider?
well, there was just like snacks there, but they had a whole canteen where it was just like stews and rice and loads of fruit and lovely bread and cakes and it was banging. Like we get given like fucking just like a bottle of vodka and some crisps and Haribo, and they're there eating a fucking like curry goat. Oh mate, I tell you, it was bullshit. But anyway. So it was like we're laughing. I'm like, this is so surreal. I'm like, Khalees has just told me to take all the beers from her fridge. Like, what the fuck?
That's it.
And Never's going, is there any milkshake in there? And all this. And, so we're just like taking a piss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's a lovely woman. Big up Khalees,
Big
innit?
up Khalees.
And so she's there, and so she goes on stage, and like her sister is there and stuff. And anyway, the music starts. There's like a big intro. The DJ's there. The musicians are going, and like dry ice and stuff. Everyone's screaming, and I'm like, this is sick. And she's standing at the other side waiting to go in. And then her sister was like, I really need the toilet. She was like, can you watch the children for like 2 secs? And I'm like,
that's big responsibility.
So I take the little boy's hand and I was just like, oh, they'll be back in a minute. I was like, should we watch mummy? So like we go onto the side of the stage and we're sort of watching. She comes on, the crowd are going wild. It like kicks into one of her tunes. And what's that one? Papa was a millionaire.
Yeah, that was
Millionaire with Andre 2000.
Yeah. So it's all like that.
Tasty album.
So we're there, like we're dancing stuff. I'm holding the son's hand, and I say to my friend,
It's
I was like,
surreal,
and
isn't it?
yeah, really surreal. And I said to my friend, I said, it's so weird, isn't it? I said, this little boy looks, because I didn't know that she had children with Nas, innit?
Yeah.
And I'm a big Nas fan, and I said, oh, he really looks like Nas. And she was like, Sarah, that's literally his son. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, no way. And I was like, because they look spitting image, like, oh my God, like, it's his boy, you know. So I'm like holding his hand and I'm like,
you're holding Nas.
Basically, yeah, I'm trying to like channel my energy through this child.
Let me get the lyrical.
Yeah.
Lyrical genius.
It was crazy in it. And then anyway, after a bit, like the sister comes back and like they're sort of there, and Khalees does her set. It was absolutely incredible. And then she comes off stage. We're like, oh, that was amazing. And then she takes the kids and they leave and stuff. And I had my rucksack, so I go straight into her little caravan thing and fill up my bag with all her beers and all her treats and that. We go off, and like it just took us so long to process. We were like, fucking hell, that was insane. Not only did I get to go on main stage, I met Khalees, I took her beers, and I looked after her kids. So yeah,
bucket list is complete.
Oh mate, it was so surreal. And even today we always laugh about it. If I hear Khalees on the radio, I'm like, oh, hope the kids are doing well.
That's another instance of like just life taking you in unpredictable places and it being beautiful.
Yeah,
like that, and it's such an interesting thing. You will just like have that memory forever now.
Yeah. And just beautiful that she trusted us enough to like watch the kids, and it was just such a lovely experience. You know what I mean? And even just watching her like with the children, I was like, this is cool, man.
No, that's sick. That is such a sick story to get from this podcast. I'm so happy. But yeah,
I think before we get booted out by Pirate Studios,
let's end it up.
Bow on it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, where can people find you? And actually, what are you working on? And where can people find you?
So I'm working on a new show, a new comedy poetry show, which I'm going to take to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival next year, 2024. So that's kind of the biggest thing I'm working on. Obviously got my 2 books that will be out over the next 12 months as well. And just gigs, man. I'm releasing an EP, another drum and bass EP that I'm working on with a producer, and then also something with my band. So lots going on. You can find me on Instagram at Callaghan1. That's SCALLAGHAN and the number 1. I post a lot of gigs there. If you know anyone in Australia, I will be doing a lot of comedy out there, touring all over the gaff. So if you're there, come see me, or if not, recommend me. I'm very funny. So, and also just doing poetry and stuff, trying to release as many videos as possible, and living my life, man.
Living your best life.
Yes, yeah.
What about you, Haroon?
You got your book? Plug the book again.
Oh, plug the book. Okay, so my debut poetry book, Press Play, comes out September 9th. There'll be a book launch at Leo Foods Cafe. Sydenham. If you come at Sydenham, jump on my socials at Haroon Creates, HAROON Creates, and there'll be an Eventbrite going up. By the time this goes out, I don't know.
Yeah, so this will come out in maybe 2 or 3 months' time.
All right, so the book launch will have happened by then.
Sorry.
But by the time you listen to this, the book will be out. You can find it on my socials, but also follow me at Speak Easy with Haroon, which is the Instagram for this podcast. And you're going to see that book coming out. I'll be starting work on another poetry pamphlet next year.
Cool.
So because this is a full-blown collection. And you'll see more podcasting, and there's some things that I'd rather keep under wraps.
Jeez, yeah.
Move in silence and just spring it on you.
Silence.
But Meta will know that I'm working on a whole bundle of goodies for you guys, things that you probably don't expect from me. Assuming I can still keep a good, steady handle on my mental health, which is always my biggest challenge. But yeah,
banging,
cool. And you can find me at The Metaphorest, the metaphor, EST, all one word. The SEO is strong.
The branding is so consistent.
Jeez, that's on Instagram and YouTube. And then the Metaforecast as well. The meta and then forecast with an FO. I need to figure out how to make that sound cool. And then, Window to the Spirits, which is starting in September, the first Sunday of every month. Poetry and Shibs in August, which is probably would have happened, but I might do one later on or next year. And that's it. Scratch that as well, which is going to be in August, which might have already happened. And that's it, really. And World Domination next year.
Yes.
So 2024.
Yeah,
Sarah
man.
Callaghan.
Pinky in the brain.
For all of us, man.
For sure, man. Haroon Khan with lowercase h. And the Metaforecast as a brand, Meta Media, all of that stuff. Okay, peace, guys. Don't do drugs.
Yes.
And stay in school. Peace.
Oh, shit.
Yo, that was sick.